Welcome everyone. How's it going? How is it going? Let me know if my audio is coming in clear. Long time no talk. Long time no talk. I feel like it's been a hot second since we've gone live. The summer doldrums have been hitting in. Oh, let me just turn off my there we go. Audio clear. Awesome. Thank you, Chris. How's it going? Always one of the first ones in. So exciting day ahead. We got power hour for the last hour of trading here. It's 12 o'clock. Alex says, please live stream multiple times a week. I definitely had that in the plans, but I gotta say, like, I got busy with just life and like vacation and like just like taking some time off. So I'm happy to do it. And you know what? Tesla's been kind of a snooze fest lately. Up 3%, down 2%. It's just been chopping around. But no, I am definitely back in action now. So I'm happy to be with y'all. Too many fails. How's it going? So, okay, interesting day. We love Tesla. We do. Yes. Okay, so it's been an interesting day. Obviously, we know high of day today is 668.20. Really strong action for the first couple hours of trading today. Since then, right around 2 p.m. Eastern, we saw a report come out with some sort of consensus data about Tesla earnings. And we're going to, on this stream, we're going to kind of chop through that live. I hope that's okay. We're going to want to go through that news because, to be honest, I was kind of saving it for the stream. Welcome, everyone. How's it going? You got your oranges ready? I appreciate it. Dan says, well, great to have you back. I appreciate it, guys. I got the juju ready. I got 4 today because it's going to be a longer stream. So stick with me if you can. It's going to be a fun time. Again, power hour. Earnings call is at 2:30 Pacific, so an hour and a half after market close. The report should come out right at market close or 5 or 10 minutes after. So we'll kind of debrief on that. So it's going to be an exciting stream. And Parker, how's it going? Welcome, everyone. Paco, Martin, Gio, Dan, Alex, Scott, how's it going? So, okay, here's kind of where my thought process is for today. So, really strong action for the first couple of hours in trading on Tesla. And I, we talk about this a lot. It's funny with Tesla, it always does this on a strong green day. On a strong green day, I've noticed more often than not. Welcome everyone. More often than not, what will happen is we will gap up, we'll sell off, and that's what happened in the first 15 or 20 minutes of trading. We sold off to 647. We sell off, and then post sell off in the morning, we end up having a lot of strength. This is the classic kind of Tesla blueprint for a really strong green day. Now, right around 2 p.m. Eastern, there was some news that came out. My guess is these are potentially front running that or front runners that are exiting their shares prior to earnings call. Because remember, there's going to be a good portion of those people, anyways. The level I'm watching for today is 662. Right around here. It's the 50 EMA on the 5-minute, and it's the top of the Ichimoku cloud on the daily. Again, I'm looking at 662 as kind of like a pivot level. Under that, consolidation, chop, downside. Over that, strength up. So 662 is a level I'm personally watching. Let me know what level you're watching for yourself. But that's the one I'm keeping an eye on today. Welcome, Nick, Jason, David, Alex. How's it going? From Discord. What's up, brother? Let's do this. Welcome, Chadwick. MKLC 666. Yes, it's really been flirting with the devil's number today. Okay, so post that sell-off, we've consolidated on the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud here, which again is acting as support for the time being. A break under this kind of 655-ish area right now could potentially mean a drop back down in the 650s area is kind of what I'm looking at right now. This is the 5-minute, right? Now, okay, we got to talk about Tesla earnings. So Tesla probably is going to have killer earnings again today. Barring some sort of wild card. Elon was very, very memific yesterday and the day before on the weekend, which, if you know anything about Elon, before earnings, if he gives us signals like this more often than not, it means that there's good news coming with earnings. Now, don't get confused. In my opinion, good earnings doesn't mean a good stock price bump. Not always. And with Tesla, it's notorious for having killer earnings, but still selling off the day after, right? So if you're playing options, if you're playing lottos, obviously it's a lottery ticket at that point. But if you're playing options, one thing to really watch for with Tesla is theta decay. Now, if you're a theta gang and you're trying to earn theta, in my opinion, that's probably more often a winning strategy with Tesla post earnings. Could this be the one earnings that we jump 20%, 10% post earnings? I mean, maybe. Covered calls, cash covered puts, maybe, or selling, call spreads, put spreads, that sort of stuff might be something to potentially look at. But there is a wild card in this as well. Other than Bitcoin, and we'll talk about Bitcoin after. Bitcoin is going crazy. By the way, if you don't know, Bitcoin, I think I have it on my watch list. Bitcoin is flirting with 40,000 at the moment. Actually, just touched 40,000. And what is about an hour ago? So, or actually, about 10 or 15 minutes ago, it just kissed 40,000. So, you talk about strength in a Bitcoin. We're seeing that strength potentially fall into Tesla as well. So, but the wild card here I'm talking about is potentially, okay, and we're going to go through the conspiracy theory on this live stream a little bit, is potentially um, a stock split. I said it. You already know if you watch my channel. If you haven't, go watch my video on the stock split and why I don't think it's going to happen, probably why it's not a good idea. But there's some rumblings going around. There's some people putting some Elon tweets together and trying to decode what he means. Because if you remember last year, Elon tweeted, I think on May 1st, he tweeted, meaning 0501, he tweeted that the stock price is too high, which most people thought it meant the valuation was too high. But really, looking back, what it probably meant was the fact that, and Securities, how's it going? Securities talks about this all the time with me on Discord, is, on May 1st, Elon tweeted of last year, tweeted the stock price is too high. People thought it meant the valuation. Really, looking back, it was, you could have decoded it to mean that it was a 5-for-1 split and it was too high just in absolute numbers. In fact, I think he even tweeted it on, someone correct me if I'm wrong. He even tweeted it on, Securities told me. He tweeted it at 8:11 in the morning or PM. So, and it was announced, the stock split was announced on August the 11th or whatever it was. It was the time of the tweet in month and date form. Kind of a stretch, right? You're like, okay, Ash, what the hell are you talking about? Like, this is kind of a stretch. But Elon is known to give us hints like this. Now, there are some amazing threads out there. I'm thinking of one with AJ Jones. I'm going to try to find it for us here in a second, that go through some of the memes and some of the decoding that Elon is giving us that potentially could mean something. And we're going to go through that. We'll see. Hope I'm not late. FJE says, no, you're not late. Let's do it. 7:20 after hours. Whew. Hey, Will, how's it going? Tesla Economist says 58 cents. Tesla Daily says 64, and the street is at 94. Thank you, Will, for the conglomeration there. I do have actually a couple of tweet threads saved for estimates as well, so we'll go through that here shortly as well. So it's going to be an exciting time. The bottom line is this. Tesla has delivered record number of cars this quarter. Yes, there was a semiconductor shortage. There was macro problems. There was inflation problems. There was Model S problems. There's a lot of problems this quarter. Quarter 3, I'm really bullish on. So we'll see. We'll see. Kevin, how's it going? Alex says 5-1 tweet for a 5-1 stock split. Exactly. Marco, how's it going? It's Great American says, would be nice to see Tesla have a 15% price boost on earnings today. So here's the thing with Tesla, right? As it grows as a bigger market cap, it's going to become increasingly harder for us to seize those type of moves. In fact, I was actually roasted a lot for my video. I think it was end of December after they joined S&P, and I said Tesla's beta is going to drop. It's going to become less volatile. And to be fair, it wasn't volatile. It was way more volatile in the first couple of weeks of January. If you remember that big climb up to $900, but I think that was more of a forced mechanism outcome that we were having. But what we've been seeing, if I pull up the daily, what we've really been seeing for the last little bit is just like a classic S&P index stock, the way that Tesla's been acting. Yes, volume has been low, crazy low. In fact, actually today is pretty decent. Volume's 18.71 million for the day today. So, decent volume on the day. But I mean, it's the day of earnings. Like if we're not going to have more than average volume or average volume on the day of earnings, when are we going to have it? Here's another thing we talked about a little bit, and I'm kind of jumping all over the place. I hope it's okay. the lack of volume, yes, it's summer, so that could be part of it. But if the volume doesn't come back in September, to me, that's going to indicate the fact that there's no shares left. Elon owns a large percentage of the company. A lot of big index funds own, as we know, a large portion of the company. They're not selling. Elon's not selling. Insiders will not be selling. Potentially people like me and you that believe in Tesla long term, we're probably not going to be selling our shares as well. Maybe you are. I don't know. But there's a large portion of the flow that is just not going to be touched, right? And if this low volume is, come September, if it's still a problem, at that point we can have a discussion on, is it really summer that was killing volume, or is it the fact that there's no float left? And if there's no float left, should there be a catalyst, like a legit catalyst? Let's say, FSD gets approved and they've solved FSD. You guys know how I feel like about FSD. I feel like it's some time away, but it's, something mega that comes up in the same way that like S&P inclusion came up out of nowhere. Like you got to ask yourself the question: where are the shares going to come from? Right? Nobody sells, even if up 30% says securities. Yeah, there's a large portion of Tesla. I don't know if you want to call them fanboys or fangirls or just Tesla believers in the long haul that, if Tesla does go up 30% from here, like it has in the beginning of January, a lot of us didn't sell. So, there's a lot to consider here. Jan says, welcome to me. Just finished a bowl of fresh creamed strawberry with plenty of cream, milk, and dash sugar. That sounds amazing. I'm lactose, so I'm going to stick to my my oranges. Spot on. I appreciate that. Securities. Martin says Tesla at 1,000 at Christmas. That'd be a good gift. 658 on the stock for my audio listeners. Appreciate you tuning in. I got CNBS pulled up as well. Let me just see what they have pulled up here. I'm going to keep it up. So if they talk Tesla, we'll have that ready. Yeah, by the way, thanks for subscribing, Andreas. If you guys haven't subscribed, you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit the subscribe if you want. Feel free to, no pressure. Doesn't cost you anything. And let's see here. Kevin says, heard Tesla's buying back bonds. Will that affect investor grading? Yeah, so I made a video about that last week. In my opinion, I think it's going... I think that's the reason why, to be honest, that they bought back their bonds was they want to have increased credit ratings sooner rather than later, in my opinion. So let's go through the conspiracy tweet, shall we? Let's go through the thread and stick with me. I think you're gonna like where this goes. Let's see here. Split. Let me just try. I'm gonna search it up in our Discord if I can find the thread here. Let's see here. So I can find it on Twitter. Let's see here. Yeah, Elon is really posting a lot of tweets. Yeah, absolutely. He is. I had someone ask me on Twitter yesterday, I forget their name, saying, what does it really mean? Like, why do you think? Because Elon's, tweeting, like, what does this meme mean? And, I'm not reading into the memes, maybe into the specific memes, maybe as much as I should be, but just the fact that he's posting memes is bullish to me. But again, let's not get confused. Good earnings doesn't always mean good stock price action. You gotta keep that in your mind. I'm gonna close the window here. There's we got some people putting up patios today and balconies on our porches. So if you hear anything, yes, that's the one. Alternate Jones, AJ Griffin. That's the one I'm talking about. Just gonna try to find the thread that he's made up. I posted in our Discord, but man, we get a lot of action in there, so I'm not sure what to search up. So I'm just trying to find it right now. If you have it, do you want to Discord it to me, Griffin? I'd appreciate that if you have it. Okay, so let's go through some of the stuff while we wait. Let's just make sure I have CNBS pulled up here. And Tesla's pumping back up here a little bit, 658.14. Okay, so let's talk about this. I don't have the thread yet. So let's go through Elon's tweet. Again, he had a meme yesterday. So there's that. I'm going to hit tweets and replies because you've been replying a lot. A lot of talk about SpaceX. Elon, is there any chance of us getting lithium ion 12-volt batteries when replacing the lead acid batteries in our current Model 3s and Ys? Asking for about 1 million friends. We will try, preferable for Tesla too, as long as because they last so long. Unlike other cars, our goal is not to make profit from service. This is key. We talk about this a lot. Best service is not needing the service in the in the first place. Yep, the best tweet is the not tweet. So this is one as well. The biggest bang theory. No idea what this means. Could be talking about his population. You know how Elon talked about there's not enough people in the world, so there's something around that. Again, decoding this is not my strength, nor do I feel like I'm equipped to do this fully. But when I see people put it together, people who are a lot smarter than me, and I can look at it kind of retroactively, that's when I can put together certain pieces of the puzzle. Fremont factory is going to resume soon. Let's see here. Griffin, appreciate it. Okay, Griffin has sent me, appreciate. If you guys want to join our Discord, by the way, Patreon link is in the description. Patreon.com/hit that bid. Thanks for supporting the channel. Much love to, by the way, much love to all of the Patreon subscribers for the channel. Much love to you guys. Without this, it's not possible. So this is a Twitter thread put together by AJ, Alternate Jones. And the reason why I'm going through this is because he puts together the puzzle pieces as to why, potentially, there could be another split this Wednesday, July 28th. Okay, probably gonna be wrong. So disclaimer there. Don't even try to think like there's no need to keep receipts here because at the end of this, this is probably wrong. But I think this is very interesting. So the time of the tweet indicated, and he's talking about last year. Last year's 5-to-1 stock split tweet was tweeted on. It was made August 11th. And it was 5-to-1, which is the date of the tweet. And he goes on to say, I think he's already dropped hints for this year's split. I could be wrong. Okay. Where is the thread? Hold on. Let's see here. I think you sent it to me. Before he... this is not the thread, though. There's a long thread. There's a long thread that he has like of like 20 different tweets that he's put together that I'm going to try to find. Anyways, if you could find that, if anyone could find that, let me know. That would be much appreciated. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to spend some time here trying to find it. Actually, hold on. I might know a way to find it here. Hold on. There we go. Split. Let's see what pops up here. Something big is coming up next week. Let's see here. I'm gonna have to find it. Trust me, it's worth the wait. I'm gonna put it to the side. So let's talk about estimates for earnings. There's a couple people I put together. My year is one on at Fresh Jiva on Twitter, who I follow, who I appreciate his fundamental analysis on. I've actually reached out to him, tried to get him on the channel, but he hasn't read my DM or hasn't replied or doesn't care about me. So there's that. But I appreciate the work he puts into his fundamental analysis. He's a CFA, so a chartered financial analyst. So, you know, there's some credibility there over some idiot like me. So he says his estimates for tomorrow are total revenue for Tesla in the quarter to $11 billion, gross margin of 23%, net income GAAP 570 million or 50 cents GAAP EPS. Adjusted non-GAAP excluding impairment charges and all that sort of stuff is 1.27 billion or $1.11 non-GAAP adjusted EPS. So remember, when you see really large discrepancies between people's estimates on different earnings numbers, make sure that you're reading them apples to apples, because you know if you're talking GAAP and then you're talking non-GAAP, there's some things to kind of watch out for there. Matt Smith, another person I respect, who's now actually a managing partner at Good Soil Investment Management with Emmett Peppers. By the way, announcement: if you're not on our Patreon, you probably don't know this. Emmett Peppers is actually coming on the channel for an interview. I think August the 11th. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be live streaming. Decently over, I would say. Another time he hit it spot on. So he's been pretty accurate with his estimates. And for the first time, he says, my estimate is largely in line with street consensus. Major assumptions for quarter two include a modest improvement in manufacturing margin, something to watch for there. No incremental FSD recognition. Remember, we talked about this. For Tesla to, I think at this moment, they can recognize about 50% of their FSD 10K revenue. So if you go out and you buy a Tesla and you pay 10K for that package, they can only recognize at this moment, I think 50% of that on their income. The rest goes into a liability called deferred revenue, and it sits there up until they release the features that were promised. And as they release further features, they get to recognize more of and more of that deferred revenue sitting there. Okay. He also says it accounts for a decrease in credit revenues and a modest increase, though still negative, on energy GMs. I've also assumed about $100 million related to Bitcoin impairment, which again, this sucks because this is always going to be a going risk for Tesla. If it drops again past 28.3 thousand, I think is the impairment charge, they're going to have to again book an impairment loss. Though this only impacts GAAP earnings per share. We talked about this last year after Tesla made S&P 500 by posting 4 straight GAAP profitable quarters. We promised as a Tesla community, like, let's not care about GAAP. GAAP doesn't matter. It accounts for stock-based comp. It accounts for stuff like Bitcoin impairment losses when we know they're actually not losses. They're accounting rules. GAAP generally accepted accounting principles. It's a methodology that is used for public companies and a lot of big companies for doing accounting. So let's not care about GAAP too much. Let's care about non-GAAP because most of the difference is not really meaningful for the long-term projection of a company, right? But don't get me wrong, it's still meaningful. And it gets added back for my non-GAAP 99-cent estimate. Despite relatively low FSD take rates for the last several quarters, I'm estimating about $1.2 billion of deferred revenue, which is what we talked about, which will drop to Tesla's bottom line over the next year or two. I believe this item is the most understood metric affecting Tesla's historic and future profitability. For example, if this year that had been recognized over the past several years, the FSD deferred revenue part he's saying, it would have resulted in an extra 83 cents of earnings per share, which would have put the rest of the absurd claims of, quote, unprofitable without credits, unquote, nonsense from Tesla Q. Similarly, future expectations of Tesla's automotive gross margin excluding credits typically do not go through the nuanced exercise of estimating FSD take rate and the recognition of deferred revenue over time. A lot here, we'll get through this in the end. Assuming Tesla releases FSD widely in the next 6 months, I don't know. I anticipate a triple whammy of 1, recognition of the $1.2 billion in deferred revenue. 2, the full recognition on new FSD sales, those 10K packages. And 3, some combination of higher take rates or price increases as value of FSD as an ADAS and convenience feature becomes more apparent. All these factors are nearly pure margin, which is what we talk about, why FSD subscriptions are so powerful, will buoy Tesla's financial results going forward. I believe this is the primary reason, Matt says, why the 2022 consensus of $4.42 earnings per share is so absurdly low. Most of the Wall Street analysts have not thought through the impact of this line item, talking about FSD. They simply assume Tesla will continue to modestly increase deliveries at around 25% gross margin, while also increasing operating expenses, which is false. I also believe these figures are low by roughly 100%, which, when using a forward PE multiplier, has massive share price implications. So a lot there on this thread. Really big shout out to Matt for putting this out. Go check out their channel for that. Griffin says he has a lot. Yeah, he has a lot of threads, that's for sure. Steve, how's it going? So again, a lot here, right? A lot here. What's interesting to see is, and this is why I kind of get excited, is because how diversified estimates are for the next year or two. It's no secret that it is going to take some time. It's going to take some time for Berlin to come online. It's gonna take some time for Austin to come online. So we're gonna have to see about that. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate the Discord message. I got it. This is the one. This is the thread. Okay, so let's go through the stock split imminent thread. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate it. Okay, so you guys remember Elon around, I think, July 14th or something, a week or two ago, he liked this tweet. Oh yeah, right there, July 14th. Let me actually make this a little bit smaller. He liked this tweet randomly, okay? If you go through Elon's likes, most of his likes will be in chronological order, maybe a couple of days, give or take, depending on when he sees it. He went back and liked this tweet on July 14th. This is, by the way, not the crux of the argument here, so we're going to get through it. He liked this tweet that says, some sort of ubiquitous single, telepathy. I actually don't listen to very many hot Latin songs. Maybe I should. Maybe I'm missing out. But, jumps 5-1 on the Latin airplay chart dated July 3rd. So what strikes me there is 5-1. Again, not the crux of the argument here. Last time Elon tweeted about the sequel was on October 5th, 42 days before the S&P inclusion announcement on November 16th, after which Tesla took off by 116% over the next 2 months. 42 days from yesterday, when he tweeted the let's skip the original video games and let's go straight to the sequel. 42 days from yesterday is July 28th, which is when Tesla earnings are expected. That was back then. Goes on to say, by the way, July 28th is exactly 2 weeks, Elon talk, 2 weeks from today, from July 14th. And remember, July 14th was the day that Elon liked that 5-1 split tweet, or that 5-1 Latin song tweet. I'm going to pause for a second. A lot here. I'm going to link this thread for you guys in the comments if you guys want to check it out in a second here. A lot here, kind of confusing. I sound like a madman, probably am. But let's go through this. I think it's interesting. So there's 2 weeks from when Elon likes that old tweet to July 28th. Interesting. And again, there's 42 days after he tweeted about the sequel, the S&P was announced, and 42 days after the sequel, this year's sequel tweet is July 28th. So July 28th is adding up here, is what AJ is saying. The next question is, AJ says, why would Elon like a tweet from June 29th with a 5-1 in this text? Yes, we know, we went through that. Thanks for the super chat, John.
Always without hype. Always really interesting. Thanks for the shows, Yash.
I appreciate that, John. Thanks. Much love for the super chat. Let's put some John hype in there. Tom Nash, how's it going? Okay. By the way, ramblings of a madman. That's you, not me. Okay. Last year, this is a tweet that Elon hinted that they do a 5-1 split. At the time of the tweet, indicated the announcement 8-1, and the date 5-1 on the tweet indicated the split ratio. Again, craziness, right? Stock price is too high. This is the tweet I was talking about. It was sent on 05/01 at 8:11. 8:11 meaning August 11th, which is the day the split was announced. Kind of nuts. Maybe a coincidence. Probably coincidence. Okay. Yes. So someone says, okay, there could have been a Tesla board meeting yesterday, July 14th, and Elon wanted to have the 5-1 split announced in 2 weeks, July 28th. Now, this one kind of got me. So if there was a board meeting on the 14th of July, and don't know how to verify that or to know if that's true or not, and that would be so like Elon to vote on a stock split and then say, we're going to have it announced in 2 weeks, right? Elon talk, 2 weeks, which is July 28th. And he dropped a hint by searching and liking a tweet with a 5-1 in it. You see where this is going? So this is where I'm starting to, and there might be more here. Let me see. 5-1 sequel, 42 days after the sequel, 2 weeks. These are the kind of things that are happening here that we're putting together. So, okay. So again, I'm pulling my best impression of a crazy madman like Tom here, but I think there's something here. Again, I've already prefaced by saying, just full disclosure, this is probably some stupid shit. It's probably not going to happen. But I think it's interesting to at least put out there as Tesla bulls as something that, because, at the end of the day, the way I look at Elon is, and shout out to you securities for, talking with me on this on Discord, is I feel like Elon is trying to invent his own language of speaking to the people, right? Shout out to Tom Nash. Thanks for subscribing. I think he's trying to devise a way that us normal people can potentially, read into the tea leaves, or he is somewhat, throwing us some bones, or I don't know what it is. But I think in the same way that, because Elon's a very cerebral person, for him to do all of these certain things in that order, give out these hints, it could be a coincidence. It's just a matter of, are you going to bet on this being a coincidence, this being, very low odds and just something happening here? Or is this potentially something more? I don't know. But I do think it is interesting. I do like this Twitter thread a lot. And I think it makes sense to at least talk about this. Again, we'll find out, I guess, this Wednesday if this means anything. Uh, I'm not going to bet the farm on it, but I think it's definitely interesting to think about. I did get a question though. If they split again, does Tesla run the same way it did last year? Now that's a great question. I don't know. I would probably say that if Tesla split again, people would flock to buying Tesla the same way that they flocked to buying Nvidia this year when it split. Apple, when it splits every single year, feels like it. Remember, Apple split 4-1 last year, and then Tesla tagged along with a 5-1 split. And I think Apple rallied something like some crazy percentage, double digits. And we know Tesla ran crazy as well. So there's a lot here. Again, probably not anything, but when you're having, it wouldn't be. I wouldn't put it past Elon. Let's just say that for that to happen, it could be a crazy coincidence. So 659 on the stock. Again, kind of talking here about consolidating at the 660 level. So we'll see. And Bitcoin is officially, let's see here. Bitcoin is officially at over 40K. So there we go, folks. Bitcoin's officially at 40K. I don't know what you want to tell Gary Black about Bitcoin not rallying, but he's probably going to say that Bitcoin rallying today has a big portion on why Tesla's rallying. So, there's no way to win there. Shopify down 3.2%. Interesting. So Shopify is down, Square's down, Nvidia's down today. Those are the only real red stocks on this watch list here today. Again, Apple up today, 56 basis points. Apple, I'm still holding my shorter, I think, earnings play on Apple. I'm going to see if I want to hold it for tomorrow earnings. But this week is going to be crazy. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be a great time. Gatch says, Yash, any thoughts on the leaked email, the non-GAAP EPS of 94 cents? Yeah, let's go through that. So let's pull up. I have Sawyer Merritt's Twitter here. Let me just actually see here. Tesla. Let me just pull up leaked here. Let's see. Thanks for subscribing, folks. Much love. Okay, let me just pull up this article here. Maybe the best way to pull this up is right here. Okay, let's pull up Chrome. So Tesla Investor Relations sent an email on Friday suggesting a quarter to beat, quote unquote. And this is the Street Insider article. So again, on Friday, the article says, and ahead of earnings today after close, Tesla Director of Investor Relations, Martin, which by the way, we have another, not conspiracy, but we have another thing by going through his likes. We talked about this on the credit upgrade stuff. Sent out an email with, quote, company compiled quarter 2 2021 and fiscal year 2021 consensus of sell side analysts, unquote. The numbers differ slightly from consensus numbers published by others. Specifically, the email notes that the average revenue consensus is 11.44 billion. This compares to the consensus off of this Refinitiv consensus of 11.2 billion. So a little bit higher than other consensuses. On non-GAAP earnings per share, this email states the average consensus is 94 cents. This compares to the Refinitiv consensus of 96 cents. On deliveries, the company is stating that the average consensus is 199, 161 Model 3, 1900 Model S and X, and a total of 201, 51 vehicles delivered for the quarter. Commenting on the development, bearish Tesla analyst notes that this is the first time they have done this that I can remember, and they did it in a very granular level of detail, i.e. see email below. Further, after speaking to a large hedge fund that is very aware of the, quote, games Tesla plays, he says, they don't have to put out these they don't have to put these numbers out. So if they do, that means they'll probably beat the numbers as they have full control on who sees the numbers and who's not. I.e., if they don't like the analyst numbers, they can simply exclude the numbers. And then they go on to link it. We'll see. I mean, who cares, right? They leaked some sort of sell side analyst stuff. Again, there's buy side and there's sell side, and I don't think excluding, like, let's be honest, if they're excluding you off of the consensus here, there's probably a reason. You're probably an outlier, right? And maybe you're really low on the low. What's happening here is it's funny because what's happening here is the opposite of what you would think. A lot of super bearish analysts on Tesla are essentially coming out and then they're raising expectations, raising consensus in an effort to oh, thanks for the super chat. Not
Sell
financial
now.
advice.
Gordon J.
Much love. Thank you. Non-financial. Essentially what we're seeing here is that they're coming out and then they're raising consensus with the effort to say when Tesla doesn't meet expectation on consensus or they come lower, that Tesla failed to meet consensus. That's kind of what the game is right now. What's actually funny is he actually had delivery numbers last quarter, or I think quarter one, right on the money. He came out, really raised expectations on deliveries, and he actually was one of the closest analysts, ironically enough, to getting to getting it right. So, there's that. I think that's funny. So okay. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Much love. Okay, so there's a lot here that's happening. If we look at the options market as well, let's look at what's happening with the options market. So right now, Tesla's sitting essentially at 660. It's the closest strike that we have. How do I get rid of this sell here? By the way, get your 2 free stocks with Webull. Link is in the description. Right now, for this week's earnings, so this Friday, an at-the-money call is going for $22. An at-the-money put is going for $24. So adding up about $46 worth of a move baked in. Remember, if you add both the at-the-monies, call and put, you get what the market makers are projecting for their expected move, plus or minus. So if we say about $45 plus or minus is the move for today, or for this Friday, I should say, that puts us at about 705 on the upside, and that puts us at 620 on the low side. So about 620 to 705 if you buy a straddle, meaning you buy an at-the-money call, you buy an at-the-money put. That's where your break evens would be, roughly speaking. Again, that's Friday at expiration. You might hold some theta depending on what happens from now until then. So, we'll see. So, is that a lot? Is the question. Let's say a $45 move on a $660 stock is roughly a 6.8% move baked in. It's not as high. I mean, it's still decent in terms of theta, but those are at the monies. If what we do is instead of going at the money, we go out the money on, let's say, one standard deviation move on the call side. Again, what is a standard deviation move? If you're new here, you have no idea what an options market is. Essentially, one standard deviation move is what is 1 degree, or what's the best? If you have a normal distribution curve, what is one standard deviation away in terms of the price point that Tesla has I think it's an 88% chance of staying under or below. So the way to calculate that on your Webull or your Thinkorswim or anything like that is just come in here and add in, and I have it here, but I have so many columns, so I'm going to get rid of some. Add in delta. Delta loosely translates to percentage that this strike lands in the money. Also, it is a $1 for every $1 move in the stock. What happens to that options chain? But we'll forget about that. So one standard deviation is about, again, 16 or 17 delta. And if you look at that, about 16.5 delta is the 710 strike. So one standard deviation on Tesla at the moment gets you about $5.50 worth of premium. So if you have 100 shares, you can sell a covered call and collect $550 off of selling one covered call here. And I'm just gonna make sure I write some notes here on this. So interesting to see. It's actually pretty decent. A lot of people on Twitter are talking about how this earnings call is actually quite This earnings call is actually quite muted. I think Dave Leon Investing tweeted that recently and said, this earnings call feels like there's not enough action going on. No one's really caring about it. But really, I mean, like at the end of the day, I think the market makers, even though IV percentile is quite low at the moment, I do think that there is a good degree of call buying happening. If we do the same thing on the put side, starting to march up now, says Anthony. Yep. So if we continue to look on the put side, one standard deviation delta gets us about 610 on the strike. So, about, 50 bucks on the low side. And we can collect $7.75 for selling one put, cash covered or whatever. I don't know. But the point here is you're collecting disproportionately more on the downside than you are on the upside, meaning we're skewing on the downside. This can happen for multiple reasons. One could just be there's a lot more put buyers out the money. It could be for the fact that a lot of people are buying insurance for this week's earnings. And if you hold a considerable amount of shares in any company, buying puts on earnings or selling covered calls may be a way that you can lower your cost basis and have insurance, specifically speaking about puts, having insurance on the downside. So what we're seeing here is a disproportionate pricing in on the puts. Is that abnormal? No, not really. The discrepancy is interesting though. It's about a $2 discrepancy. And if we talk about $2, even on a $7 or $8 thing, that's quite a big percentage, about 25% premium on the put side that we're seeing. So that's not to say that the stock is going to fall, right? Because I think there's a chasm that people make where they say, because puts are more expensive, because calls are more expensive, more premium is in it, we are bound to see a move on the upside or the downside depending on that. And I think for earnings that probably doesn't play so true. Just because on a regular week, and we saw this last week actually, we were on Discord and we were talking about how premiums were going up substantially in like a 5 or 10 minute span. I was checking out some, I think it was some 670 calls when Tesla was sitting at 650 or something like that. And the premium on these guys, though Tesla was flat, was inching up. It was like up 10 or 20% within 5 minutes. And we kind of talked about this. We said, premiums are going up on the call side. And what happened? Within like 10 or 15 minutes, Tesla jumped up $10. So you can see that happen. And again, our best friend are options flow. We look at, dark pools less so, but if you look at options flow, what are they sweeping? What call spreads are they sweeping? Or what calls are they sweeping? What puts are they sweeping? That gives us an indication. But the truest form of an indication, especially on something that's very illiquid, is just quite honestly looking at the premium. Look at the premium and see, is the premium going up despite the stock staying flat? Is that a signal? Is that a tell? And we speak in odds when we talk about the stock market. There's no 100% true, 100% false. There's just, it's all gray area. We try to get our odds in our favor. So, looking at this, I can see a lot of people are hedged for earnings today is kind of the way I look at this. Let's go back to chat here. Griffin said, I had 660 calls I bought 2 months ago for mid-August. Hope, I wish you the best. I think you might be, are you up on those? You might have bought them on the low side. Someone was on CNBS. So Apple earnings are tomorrow. So again, we're going to see some good volume pump into the Qs, into the NASDAQ. We didn't see that last week. In fact, on Friday, we saw like something like 50% of the average volume show up on the NASDAQ. So there was that. So, there's a lot to look forward to here, but Tesla is actually holding pretty decent for the sell-off that it had. I'm excited though. I'm excited, folks. It's going to be good. Griffin says, why do my calls always go up to the strike and never further? Man, you should just sell butterflies then. If you can, with pinpoint accuracy, like just put in exactly what strike they're going to hit. Whatever makes a good point. Whatever says, look at Elon's description as well. And you know what? I totally forgot to talk about that as well. So good question here. Let me try to find Elon. Elon's description says, meme necromancy while you wait. So Neem So meme, magic happening while you wait. This part really gets to me. While you wait, what are we waiting for? And obviously he's going heavy on the memes right now. What's this? I didn't see this one. Scares you most? Dylan. Man, look at this mean mugshot by Dylan. Like, I would not mess with Dylan. Those are one of those kids that it's like a Sheldon from The Big Bang. This one I found very accurate. I'll move my fat head. This one I found very accurate. 8 beers deep. Someone saying you can trust the government. Yep, super accurate on that. I felt targeted with that meme. So a lot going on. By the way, if you want to follow me on Twitter, feel free to @HeyIt'sYashu. So a lot going on. It's gonna be a fun time. What does Phil LeBeau tweet? Tesla set to report earnings after the bell. I will not be clicking on that link. Okay, 6:59 on the stock for my audio listeners. You guys are saying chairs meme. Dylan says, "Yo, I'm Dylan. Chill, bro." Shout out to you, Dylan. Okay. Did I miss the chair meme? Oh, let's see here. You guys are talking about this one because you guys remember when Elon tweeted chairs, aka shares, are undervalued a couple years ago now. So you guys are saying child seats now, child seats back in the day. Interesting. Okay. That could be a stretch, folks. I mean, that could be a reach, but we'll take it. I mean, like everything I talked about is a huge reach, so we'll take that. We'll add that into the notepad. Alex says Elon is now following a Twitter account whose handle ends in 621. What is June 21st? Tell me what the significance of that would be. Again, I'm not good at piecing these things together. I'm just good at delivering it to you folks. The Norway meme flag, yeah, that one too. In fact, yeah, that's true. Let's see here. 6-1. Oh, 6-1 split. I see what you're saying. So 6-1, 6-1. Okay. Interesting. Huh. Listen, I'm all for this hype, right? And there's definitely like a couple of people watching this stream like, what the hell is this guy saying? Like, you guys are really reaching for this. And in fact, we are. But I just don't put it past Elon to do stuff like that because he's quite literally done it before. So again, this is all for fun, right? We'll see how accurate this ends up being. Rucha says I love it. Yeah, I have a lot of fun having talking about this kind of shit too. So interesting. How did you guys know that he followed that? That's crazy. You guys are funny. Yes, so Amazon is going in on Bitcoin. Thanks for the comment on that, Kayla. Amazon, there was a rumor this weekend that Amazon is, quote, definitely coming into Bitcoin payment processing. And that's why we're seeing Bitcoin skyrocket the way that it is right now. Again, Bitcoin sitting at right around 40,000, pretty much kissing it right now. So, no doubt in my mind that's why we're seeing a large amount of strength happening in Bitcoin. CSZA, I always butcher your user, saying Elon is trolling the split for fun. 100% possible. 100% possible. John says he only follows 100 people and it's pretty obvious he's a Twitter legend. Getting a follow from him is big news. Interesting. Elon just literally unfollowed that 621 account. Listen, Elon's listening to this stream and he's like, these guys, the Juju gang is getting crazy with the conspiracies. Let me unfollow. Perhaps RK says, perhaps he's watching your stream. Yeah. You know what? I wouldn't put it past him to unfollow it just to mess with us. 656 on the share price. Griffin says I want a 10-1 split or nothing. We need $100 for each 1 trillion market cap. Then it's 1K or bust. A 10-1 split would put Tesla at what, $66? Selling covered calls, managing your account, let's say on a lower denomination stock price, would be 100% easier for the vast majority of traders, investors out there. That being said, like that's kind of what Apple's done, right? Apple's sitting at what, $150 right now. Apple's kind of followed that playbook of just split. I remember Apple, what, 500, $600. They split. Apple's just been consistent like that. So, RK says, I just got notice he unfollowed that user. Interesting. Elon is listening to his flight on Texas. I don't know. What's up, Elon? How's it going? Come on the channel. Maybe. He could be. But if he's listening, okay, if Elon's listening to the stream, we'll get that 0.1% probability on that. If Elon's listening to the stream, give us a signal. Like something or tweet something that we can see. And someone says he's on a flight right now, so I'll keep that in mind. Give us a signal. Why don't you? Because again, probably not. I'm not going to get my panties in a wad over that. I really don't think it's going to happen, but blink twice. So you guys are talking about FSD a lot. We're going to get into FSD here. FSD is interesting. I continue to believe FSD is not around the corner, not because I'm not bullish on full self-driving, not because I don't think they're close to solving it, but just because I don't believe in bureaucracy. I don't believe in the red tape. We've seen what's happening with, for example, Berlin come out, right? With the legacy autos coming out the woodwork to dampen the growth of Giga Berlin. And the way I look at FSD is they're probably going to get really close. And again, I look at FSD as an asymptotic problem, a problem that you're never going to solve 100%. You're going to be 99.99999 and infinite trailing. Like there's always going to be that edge case, right? Not saying that doesn't mean robotaxis are not going to happen, which, I think probably a 5 to 10 year time horizon for me. But I just don't continue to, I just don't put much, what's the best way to put it? I don't put much credence into analysts pricing that in. I think we could. I think a lot of, if you follow Tesla a lot, you can develop your own models for FSD and robotaxis. I just don't think analysts are willing to go down that route, because should they be wrong, and you can put a 5% chance on them being wrong or whatever it might be. Should they be wrong, I think they're very careful, analysts are, to put themselves out there on something so dramatic that should they be wrong, their credibility is gone. Because remember, other than Cathie Wood, there's not a lot of analysts out there that will go out on a limb and talk about revenue streams that have not yet been confirmed. I guess I'm thinking of Adam Jonas and coming out with VTOL flight stuff. He got roasted for that. That was hilarious. Where he comes out and he says, "Hey, Tesla can make airplanes, and by the way, if they make airplanes, they're worth $1,000 a share today." I found that funny. Whatever. But I mean, it's very possible it's probably going to happen. I think Elon's already talked about it eventually happening anyways. So I think analysts are careful to price something like that in. But if you've watched the interview I did with Suraja on the channel, which by the way, let me know how that, I got a lot of good feedback on the comments there. Let me know if you've watched it. He talks about a time where the tipping point will come where it'll be obvious that FSD can only be solved with, let's say, a general AI vision approach. People like Gary Black and some other robotaxi experts argue and go back and forth. You need LiDAR, you need radar, you need this, you need to map it out, all this sort of stuff. You talk about scalability on that. It's a different argument. But there does seem like there is this, not a space race, but this robotaxi race right now. And, I'm not ignorant enough to say I know who's going to win. I think I know which way I'm betting. But, I mean, at the end of the day, this is why analysts haven't priced stuff in. Griffin says, did you see Rob Maris' tweet of the forecast? Yes, he did. He was 99 cents earnings per share, I believe. I could be wrong. I don't know. So far, no hint from Elon, by the way, about I checked his likes. There's nothing there. So, yeah. As we expected. Or no, 99 cents earnings per share there. Hold on. Elon just retweeted something. Did he just retweet that? I don't know if he just retweeted that. Did you guys just get alerted? Did he just retweet that, or was that like an hour ago when this was actually tweeted? Okay. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. He's, whatever. Yeah, he's not here. No, 100% he's not here. Okay. 656 on Tesla. I think we probably consolidate right around here. The volume weighted average price for the day is sitting at 658. So probably right around VWAP is where we're probably going to close. It's going to be an exciting earnings report happening here. We'll see where it lands, how it goes. Nasdaq's moving up. Tesla should follow, says Harry. Johnny, how's it going? Just retweeted it. Interesting. He just texted me, says Alex. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Alex. Bitcoin will be interesting to hear about. Here's what I'm thinking for earnings. And I haven't actually looked at the say questions to see which ones have won yet. Bitcoin will be interesting to talk about, although I'm kind of bored with talking about crypto and Tesla. I'd rather talk about Berlin. I'd rather talk about Austin, next Giga. I want to hear about 4680 battery cells. I'd like to hear about potentially releasing a ride-sharing app that Tesla's talked about multiple times in the past. And, if that still makes sense to release before full-on robo-taxis. Those are the kind of things I want to hear about, which probably means we're probably going to hear about, why did you buy Bitcoin? And have you considered having a PR department? Stuff that we can have a discussion about. But, these kind of questions are usually asked during the earnings call. So we'll see. You guys are saying FSD delivery on food, meds, and groceries. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. 4680 is key to everything, says Dan. Yeah, it is. How long until earnings now, says Ben? Well, Ben, we're going to get the report 5 or 10 minutes after market close. So obviously we're going to go through that. But the actual earnings call isn't until 2:30 Pacific, which I'll be streaming. So Raj, 2:30, not 2. We'll see. Coin's up 10% today? Are you serious? Well, I guess that makes sense. But man, Kathy Wood is looking like a goddamn genius. She was buying coin hand over fist as it was just falling crazy. Good for her. Nice. Palantir is up today too, 1.5%. Okay. I can dig it. I sold some of my Palantir to buy some more Tesla last week. I didn't get filled. I'm still holding Palantir shares. So 656, right around volume weighted average price. 658 is volume weighted average price for the day. Is probably where we're going to close at. So we'll see. We have 3 minutes until market close. And give me a fun time. I'm gonna furiously try to refresh the IR page as the report comes out. Let me just make sure I have everything lined up here. So again, numbers to look out for is, what is the non-GAAP adjusted earnings per share? Is it higher than consensus at 99 cents, which I think is what it is? I'm just going to check one more time. I think Rob Mauer's at 99 cents as well. Let's see here. Gary Black is at $1.10. Okay, interesting. Let's see here. So 97 is street, I think, gap. So watch for there. Again, gap is whatever. I mean, I care about non-gap, but I can see why algos are tied to gap earnings. Not very low, Ben, because I usually done leaps in the past, right? Like I've only really done options, and options has been the way that I've gone through trading and investing and stuff. So up until this year, I really didn't buy a lot of equity because I didn't really see a need to, with moves happening so much, right? But now that IV has shrunk, now that the moves are not happening in the way that we've been seeing it last year, data burn is real with options. So I've moved into, especially as we were dropping, moved into more equity with shares. Ricardo says, can you explain what GAAP and non-GAAP? Essentially, GAAP is generally accepted accounting principles. Again, non-accounting, I don't really know the whole gist of it, but stock-based comp. So if Elon gets comped for a one-time, hitting of a milestone or something, or a lot of stock employee options payouts or stuff like that, that gets adjusted into GAAP. But with non-GAAP, that would not be accounted for. So you get a truer sense of what the profit might be, exclusive of these kind of one-time events. So we'll see. Juju time. In fact, yes, get your Jujus ready. I haven't opened an orange yet, and and it's not bullish. So we're gonna have to open up an orange. I got to pull up the IR website here. You guys are really good with linking me as soon as stuff comes out. Sanju says, how long to the earnings call? So 2:30 Pacific, so about an hour and a half from as I say this. There we go, folks. There it is. There it is. I've got CNBS. Let's see here as well. VIX is sitting at $17.60. So there's that to look forward to. Hold on to your butt, says Tommy. Time to cut to CNBS or get to the investor page. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Let's I'm just gonna see. I'm watching CNBS right now as I talk to you guys, but they're talking about the Dow. You guys know I hate the Dow. So Anthony says, good day, happy earnings. You too, Anthony. Thanks for tuning in. Yes. Chris says, or I think it's Chris, CSZA. Chris, I think it's you, right? Just the picture that Elon with his juju I sent you. Yes. If you don't know, Chris sent me this. I'm going to check my messages on Twitter. I'm going to go through it here. Yes, it's Chris. Okay. Chris sent me this. Check out what Chris found. And this is a real photo, by the way. Look what Elon is wearing. There's a video, so it's in fact real. It's not photoshopped on. I didn't Photoshop this on. I swear to God. Chris, yes. I didn't Photoshop this on. I don't know how. I had not seen this before. I swear to God, I have no idea how this came up. But it looks like Elon's part of the Juju gang. No idea. And this was a video, I think, with Kanye. That someone forwarded me on Discord after I posted this video. Or for this photo. So hilarious. I found that actually hilarious. So I'm refreshing the IR page. Don't worry, folks. You guys can let me know. Bitcoin is still up there. Amazon also denied it plans to launch a crypto coin in 2022. Amazon said it will continue exploring cryptocurrencies. Okay. Interesting. Thank you, David, for the super chat.
Keep up the great work.
Much love, David. Tyler, how's it going? Can you start over? Just got out of a meeting. Hey, you're joining us for the best part. No, I didn't see the flow today. I'm not subscribed anymore to Cheddar Flow or Flow Algo at the moment. I've been trying to get secretly, I haven't been trying to say this out loud, but I've been trying to get an affiliate for the channel for a Flow, and it's still in the works. So I'm trying to see if I can potentially get a sponsor or an affiliate for the show for a Flow service that I can give a discount to everyone. So I'm still working on that, but I did have Flow Algo for the longest time. What I found is, what's interesting is those Flow services, it's crazy how different the information is, right? Like I was looking at Cheddar Flow for a while and Flow Algo, and I was getting different information. I found that interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna refresh investor relations for the shareholder deck as it comes out. Elon is part of the Juju gang. Yeah, exactly. Try Blackbox. Yes, that was one of the sites I was or one of the people I was emailing. Actually, it was Blackbox. I've heard good things about them. Best out there. Okay, interesting. Okay, I'm refreshing, folks. Don't you worry. As it comes out, we will have it up here. Let's see here. I'm refreshing, folks. We're gonna see. It's probably gonna take about 5 minutes. As I say that, it's probably gonna come out like right now. I mean, pretty decent close though. So Rob Maurer, thanks Griffin for sending me this. Rob Maurer is at $1.53 non-GAAP. Wait. No, he's at $1.53 GAAP earnings per share trailing 12 months. Okay, interesting. Pull that up here. Oh, that's trailing 12. We'll see. Refreshing. We'll see when this shareholder deck comes out. You predict missed earnings. Yeah, maybe. Potentially. Who knows? We'll see. I mean, it's definitely record revenue. That's the thing, right? You can almost always get a headline the way you want out of Tesla. That's the thing, right? If you're looking for something negative, you can find it. If you're looking for something positive, you can find it. I think the best thing to do with earnings is not care so much about what consensus is and if it has beaten consensus, although that does matter, I guess. But is to look at the bigger picture. If Tesla comes out and they give you plans about long-term earnings or a new gigafactory, which, by the way, shout out to last year, this day or this week when we had earnings call. Tesla announced Giga Austin on this earnings call, but there was way more rumors. It was Tulsa versus Austin, and there's a debate going back and forth, and so everyone pretty much knew at that point what was going to happen. Oh, I gotta turn on after hours here. One sec. Show extended hours. All right, Tesla climbing up. I got after hours earnings up here. Sorry about that. I didn't realize I didn't have that on. Tesla's going up, folks. 670. Don't get too excited. The shareholder deck is not. Oh, the shareholder deck is out. Okay, let's move on. Quarter 2 2021 report. Okay, operating cash flow less capex of 619 million. Net debt, whatever. Let's see here. GAAP. So $1.3 billion of GAAP operating income, 11% of operating margin in quarter 2, 1.1 billion in GAAP net income, 1.16 of non-GAAP net income excluding stock-based comp in quarter 2, 28.4% of GAAP automotive gross margins, 25.8 x credits. Wow, really good. Tesla says in the second quarter of, I'm going to turn off my face here. In the second quarter of 2021, we broke new and notable records. We produced over 200,000 vehicles, achieved an operating margin of 11%, exceeded $1 billion of GAAP net income for the first time in history. Supply chain challenges, in particular global semiconductor shortages and part congestion, continue to be present in quarter 2. The Tesla team, including supply chain software and our factories, worked extremely hard to get production running as close to full capacity as possible. With global vehicle demand at record levels, component supply will have a strong influence on the rate of our delivery growth for the rest of this year. We've successfully launched Tesla Vision in quarter 2, which was mainly possible due to our ability to use data from over 1 million Tesla vehicles to source large, diverse, accurate data sets. Solving full autonomy is a difficult engineering challenge in which we will continue to believe only can be solved through the collection of large, real-world data sets and cutting-edge AI. Public sentiment and support for EVs continue to be at a never-before-seen.
Everyone hit the like button.
Much
Rock
love.
it.
Thank you, Benjamin. I appreciate that. Never-before-seen levels of an inflection point. Continue to work hard to drive down costs and increase the rate of production to make EVs accessible to as many people as possible. Wow. Record vehicle productions. We know that successful launch of FSD subscription started delivering new Model S's to customers. I think that's maybe in pause, but I think it continued today. Wow. Really good report. If you care about what Tesla's doing after hours, it is going up. Okay. So we know why Elon was memeing last night. Okay, so let's look at quarter 2. Again, automotive gross margin of 28.4, X credits is 25.8, but crazy high. If we talk about year over year, that's a 298 basis points increase. If you look at quarter 2 last year, automotive gross margin was at 25.4. This is, in my opinion, this 28.4% gross margin is akin to is attributable to Shanghai Model Ys, in my opinion. They hit a GAAP gross margin of 24.1. That is in the trailing 12 the highest GAAP gross margin that was there. A 313 basis points increase year over year. Nuts. Get this. Operating margin for Tesla has hit 11%. Last quarter was 5.7. Quarter before was 5.4. They hit in quarter 3 9.2, and last year quarter 2 was 5.4. Whew! Holy cow! You guys are saying it's what is it after hours? Okay, yeah, it's $670 close to that after hours. Nuts. Okay, adjusted EBITDA 2.4. Wow. Free cash flow, 619 million. Cash and cash equivalents is, a little bit lower from last quarter, sitting at 16.229. Wow, folks, this is great. Our operating income improved in quarter 2 compared to the same period last year at 1.3 billion, resulting in an 11% operating margin. That's nuts. The profit level was reached while incurring stock-based comp expenses attributable to the 2018 CEO award of 176 million. So get this, they're saying, folks, we hit an 11% record operating margin of trailing 12. And that was while we still had stock-based comp to give out to Elon, driven by a new operational milestone becoming probable. Operating income increased year over year mainly to volume growth and cost reduction. Cost reduction, again, this is it. Again, we have volume growth because, you know, large numbers, lower fixed cost, or fixed cost stays the same, blah, blah, blah. Positive impacts were partially offset by growth in operating expenses, including increased stock-based comp, S&X ramp, which was negative margin, by the way, in quarter two, additional supply chain costs. Folks, this is done while supply chains are messed in the world. Lower regulatory credit revenue and a Bitcoin impairment of 23 million. 23? Interesting. So we got our calculations wrong. Everyone that has been doing it. I wonder what we got wrong. It's okay. It's okay to be wrong. Quarter end cash and cash equivalents decreased to 16.2 in quarter two, driven mainly by net debt and finance lease repayments of 1.6. So remember, we talked about Tesla paying off the debt. That's why their cash is a little bit low. Partially offset by free cash flow of 619 million. Folks, really awesome. Really awesome. Welcome, man. How's it going? Tommy's summed this up for me. 1.45 non-gap and 96% gap. Or Scott saying a 1.02 in gap. Okay. Folks, amazing. Okay. So again, we already know year over year delivery growth is 121% growth year over year. Solar deployed is growing. It's 215% year over year. Okay. It's a little bit lower than last quarter. I'll give it that. I guess store and service locations are increasing. Supercharging stations. I can tell you this anecdotally. This quarter, Tesla has killed it with new supercharging locations out there. Big time. You guys are wondering about the stock price. Let's pull that up here. The stock is sitting at $675 after hours. Whew. All right. No, 670. Okay. 678 was the high. So let's see. Again, most of the move I look at is going to be during the earnings call, in my opinion. Okay. So let's see here. Let's continue reading. I hope it's okay that I'm reading here, folks. That's what we have to do. We can't just look at tweets because, you know, until we read, we don't really know what's happening. This is straight from the horse's mouth. Okay, production ramp of Model S progressed over quarter two, and we expect it to continue to increase throughout the year, given strong U.S. demand. Yes, we already know that. I'm interested in reading about Berlin. While our global production lines continue to run as fast as possible, European demand remains well above supply, resulting in growing wait times. We continue to be installing equipment, have begun testing tools, and working as quickly as possible towards starting production in Berlin while growing import volumes in the interim. So there you go. Autopilot, we know that after selling 1 million vehicles equipped with radar, we have collected enough data to start removing it in some regions. Okay, so the removal of radar, which is enabled by our collection of vast data sets in corner cases, allows us to focus on vision and increase the pace of improvement. You thought Tesla wasn't moving fast enough, they will be moving faster. Our first customer is downloaded. By the way, I'm jazzed up. Can you tell? Our first customer is downloaded FSD version 9 beta in July and prompting strong feedback from current users. Okay, vehicle software. Our team has demonstrated unparalleled ability to react quickly and mitigate disruptions of manufacturing caused by semiconductor shortages. This is so accurate. All other autos have been hit so wide with these chip shortages. Tesla's really kind of not been hit that hard. So shout out to them. Battery and powertrain. We have successfully validated and performance and our lifetime of our 4680 battery cells produced at Cato facility in California. Okay, I think we already knew about the performance, but they validated the lifetime of our 4680 battery cells. Okay, we're nearing the end of manufacturing validation at Cato. Field quality and yield are at viable levels, and our focus now is on improving the 10% of manufacturing processes that currently bottleneck production output. So the 10%. While substantial progress has been made, we still have work ahead of us. We always will, before we can achieve volume production. Okay, so a little bit of a negative connotation there. Internal crash testing of our structural pack architecture with a single piece front casting has been successful. Okay, so highlight there. We still have some work ahead of us before we can achieve volume production. Okay, so that's going to go into Cybertruck a little bit. Volume. We plan to grow our manufacturing capacity as soon as possible. Over a multi-year horizon, we expect to achieve 50% average annual growth in vehicle deliveries. Again, they've reiterated this. They have not given us an update on this. In some years, we may grow faster, which we expect to be the case in 2021. There you go. I guess they've come out and they've said, we expect to grow greater than 50%. Gary Black is going to be stoked about that. No, he won't. The rate of growth will depend on our equipment capacity, operational efficiency, and the capacity and stability of the supply chain. Goes without saying. We have sufficient liquidity to fund our product roadmap. Love it. They have enough cash on hand. Profit. We expect our operating margin will continue to grow over time, continue to reach industry-leading levels with capacity expansion, localization plans underway. Product. We believe we remain on track to build our first Model Y vehicles in Berlin and Austin in 2021. Okay. The pace of, by the way, this goes exactly to the opposite of what Troy Teslike was saying. I think he was saying Cybertruck was first. The pace of the respective, and shout out to Rob Maurer, he got it right. The respective production ramps will be influenced by the successful introduction of many new products and manufacturing technologies and the ongoing supply chain challenges and regional permitting. To a better focus on these factories and due to limited availability of battery cells and supply chain challenges, we have shifted the launch of the semi-truck program to 2022. Okay, I think we're used to semis being pushed out. I think we know that. I think we expected that half-heartedly. We are also making progress on the industrialization of the Cybertruck, which is currently planned for Austin production subsequent to Model Y. Okay, so a lot here to digest. Here's some photos. Giga Berlin. Check this out. This is the paint shop there. This is the Model Y. 6 months ago it was this. Now it's this on the right. Giga Texas. Wow, look at the stamping press. Crazy. And by the way, Limiting Factor is a great channel to follow on battery tech and where everything is sitting at. So folks, this is wow. I'm quite happy with this. Let's see here. Let's see. Let me pull up Weeble. Okay, so Rob Maurer says, MKLC says, Rob Maurer says P has just dropped from 650 to about 350 exactly. Thank you, MKLC. That's perfect. Phil, you posted that there. Perfect. Thank you, Phil. Both you guys. Again, Tesla. We talked, rewind this half an hour. Tesla does not move much post earnings. That being said, wait till the earnings call. That's when we're going to see potentially if there is going to be a move here. Yeah, a pretty good clean beat all around, says Harry. Yep. Net income is good. Cash on hand is good despite them paying debt down. I actually want to see their balance sheet for a second. How much debt do they have at the moment? A debt and financial leases. They have, as of right now, debt and finance leases net of current portion is 7.8 billion. There we go. Or actually, debt and finance leases net of current portion is actually 7.8. The deferred revenue that we talked about with full self-driving, that's currently sitting at $1.318 billion. Really good beat. Good long-term roadmap. Again, this quarter is likely the last quarter that we don't get a firm timeline or a firm gauge into capacity and when that's going to open up. One of the problems that's happening, again, folks, don't worry too much about after hours. Again, we were up. Tesla sells off. Even if we were up, I think quarter 2 or 3 last year, we were up 7% on market open, and we went red for the day. This is what happens with Tesla earnings often, right? So think about long-term here with earnings. So really all you can do right now. We'll see what the earnings call brings. If Elon says something about something, it's gonna shift things, right? So what was I gonna say? I lost track. Oh yes, this is likely probably the last quarter that we don't have a full idea on Berlin and Texas. My guess is probably in 3 months, by the time next quarter earnings comes up, either 1 or 2 are already up and running, or we definitely have a timeline as to when they will be. This is why there's still some gray area with production. If you look at what Tesla is guiding to for deliveries, they are staunchly saying they're going to grow on a multi-year level annually at 50%. They don't care about telling you what this year is going to be specifically. They don't care about telling us if it's going to be, 1 million vehicles for the year, 800 for the year, whatever it might be. But it's going to be over the long term, it smooths out to what they're going to expect at around 50%. So, um, yeah. So let's see here. I'm pretty stoked with good net income, good long term projection here. Looking good. Let me just 1 sec. User. Rob Maurer, Phil says, tweets, Tesla just grew GAAP net income by 1,000% year over year. Yeah, this is nuts. Yeah. So, okay. So I'm really interested to see how the decreasing of PE is going to influence stock with Tesla. It's no secret that there's a large portion of investors that will not invest in Tesla based on PE, which, you can have your own argument as to why that's right or wrong. Obviously, with a growth company, it goes without saying that PE is definitely tough to focus on with a growing company. But now that Tesla has cut their PE in half, again, it's still 350, mind you. It's and especially X credits, and Matt makes a great point here. Tesla posted 25.8% gross margin X credits. And they've said that this is only going to get higher. Looks like Rob Maurer is pretty happy with their earnings as well. He says, "Holy smokes!" We already read that one. So pretty nice beat. And by the way, we got this whole Bitcoin impairment loss thing wrong. Hey, we got this whole Bitcoin impairment loss thing wrong. I mean, at least the majority of us did. Maybe if you got 23 million, that's fine. I'm curious to see. So what my bet is as to what has happened with Bitcoin is maybe it's not the lowest level in that quarter. Maybe it's the lowest level that is sustained for an X period of time in that quarter, which could potentially make sense. And maybe it's then 30,000, because if impairment loss was going to be 124 million and it was in fact, 20% of that, then maybe it was, and it was 28.8. So maybe they took 31,000 as kind of, or 30,000 as the point. Who knows? We'll see. CNBS. Yes, I can pull up CNBS. Let's see. Let's pull it up. Can you guys hear it now? Okay.
At the same exact amount at this point in the year as we were back then. We had almost nothing going on from late July well in through September, and then you got your final little lift. So even in a great year when you were up 30% start to finish, a lot of times August was not really very rewarding. So we'll see how that plays out, guys.
Mike Santoli. Coming up next, Morgan Stanley's chief U.S. equity strategist, Mike Wilson, on why he thinks investors should be favoring defensive stocks over cyclicals right now. Plus, the CEO of IHG Hotels and Resorts on whether rising...
Leave it to... Let me just put this on pause. Leave it to CNBS to focus on... Pause this. Leave it to them to focus on on the negative as to what's happening today. But my guess is going to be, and I haven't seen their segment on Tesla yet. My guess is going to be, it's going to be very hard pressed for them to follow, continue being negative here on Tesla. These are great earnings. These are great earnings. Okay. Yeah, sorry about the audio. I realized I had it off. All good. I'm going to keep an eye on CNBS on the side here, should they continue to talk about Tesla. So I'll keep an eye on them here. You guys are saying, how are stock splits usually announced? Conference call or something else? So last year, Tesla announced it in just a SEC release, I think on a random Tuesday or Wednesday. So, you know, I don't think it would happen today, because again, I think we would see it in the shareholders deck already. So Harry says they were very positive. Saw it. Nice. Okay, awesome. Interesting. Harry says one trader on CNBS said they will be interested in buying it. We'll listen to the conference call. Nice. Okay. So I'm interested to see what the Tesla. I'm interested to see what the Tesla anti-Tesla Q or the Tesla Q argument would be post quarter two earnings. Again, I look at these earnings as an inflection point, and I forget who put that in the chat an hour ago. Great way to put it. I look at this earnings report as an inflection point. Huge margins coming in. Berlin and Texas still not online, so there's that upward trajectory coming up. FSD is just being version 9 has just come out. It feels like the calm before the storm. And we talk about price action on stock. I mean, this is kind of to be expected. It's the way it's going to go. Up until earnings, we're probably going to stick around this kind of 665 area. And it's really feels like an inflection point. I think the biggest thing that Tesla needs to do at the moment is de-risk. And by Berlin and Austin coming online, for investors, those are going to be some of the biggest de-risking moves, right? As they come up, as they produce, as margins come through, as anticipated, as there's not mega hiccups in the process. That's the way I look at de-risking Tesla for a lot more investors coming in. Again, it is summer, so keep that in mind and it's not like last summer. If you guys remember, before S&P inclusion announcement, Tesla was facing the same volume issues last year. So let's see here. Let me just see here. Okay, I'm just going to mute that there. If you talk about Tesla, I'll pull it up. But it really feels like last year. There was that couple of minutes. There was that couple of minutes last year, or that couple of months last year, again, prior to S&P inclusion, where, I really didn't feel like, it just didn't feel like there was enough action going on in Tesla. And we all know how that changed. By the way, I downloaded, let me see here. I downloaded the volumes of different days of Tesla trading, and I put it in a spreadsheet with the help of the NASDAQ website. And let me just try to pull this up here. And check this out. So I downloaded, this is kind of some, loose kind of research I was trying to do. Because I was trying to see how low has volume been in the last year or so of Tesla trading. And I found that some of the lowest volume days, like we saw 15 million shares traded on February the 9th of this year. We saw 15.8 million shares traded on February the 4th of this year. And what I found is really low volume trading usually preceded some large moves up or down in the stock, right? If we pull up Webull and we go to the what week is this? February 4th and February 9th. And we took a look at what had happened to Tesla post that really quiet week, and we'll go for June as well. Let's go here. Again, correlation does not mean causation here whatsoever, but this is just me trying to see. So the really low volume week was right over here, like massively low, like historically trailing 12 lowest volume, when Tesla was trading at $850, $870. And we all know the 2 or 3 weeks post that, we really shit the bed, right? We hit $540 after that as of March the 5th. And similarly, let's see here. we drinking. Yeah, similarly, June the 11th saw 16.2 million shares traded. And this is sorted by lowest volume shares, right? We saw 16.2 traded on June the 11th. And June the 9th, we saw 16.5, some of the lowest volume trading in Tesla. And what happened after that week, if we take a look after June the 11th, we'll pull it up here. June the 11th, right over here, when Tesla was trading at $601, is within the next couple of weeks post that, we were trading up at $700 again. So about $100 move there. So not saying a big move is probably going to happen, but past history shows us that when we have weeks like we've had with really low volume, again, really low, on July the 20th, as of when I downloaded this last week, I said July, really weird there. We had 15.48 million shares traded. And again, a few days after I downloaded this spreadsheet, we had another really low volume day. In fact, lower than that day. So today we had about 25 million shares traded, but again, today's an anomaly because it's earnings day. So is a big move imminent? The way I look, I was actually going to make a video about why I think a big move is imminent in Tesla, up or down, coming up here. But yeah, that's what I think. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. What is the 3-day rule? Okay, so if you guys are asking, you guys have been hearing, a channel I really like, shout out to Greg, is Tesla Fan Insight. He shares some, very rational, sober thoughts around Tesla and trading. We may not always agree on price points and stuff like that, but I really appreciate his channel. He talks about the 3-day rule a lot, about how Wall Street toots really need about 2 or 3 days to digest news, earnings, press releases, material impact changes on a stock to be able to trade and invest based on it, right? So if we talk about 3 days from now, earnings is out today. We got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. As early as Thursday, Friday, we might be seeing a move depending on how fast investors can digest this. There is a portion of algo trading that happens. If you guys always, I get a lot of questions about, why is the stock moving up so fast? Like who's able to read the report that fast? And it's all just machine reading, and then algos trading based on that. So if the machine reads and scans for gap and they find a number, they associate that to their estimate, and then they buy and sell based on that. It's so fast you would never know. That's how we got a move from what we closed at 657 all the way to 680 within about 10 minutes, is essentially based on those algos trading. And then again, typical, we see a selling off. I think last quarter we actually sold off post earnings because I think we didn't meet some sort of criteria the market was looking for, and then we consolidated back close to break even. So this is really typical price action. The 3-day rule is don't return that text until 3 days later. Ah, man, I'm terrible with returning text anyways. For me, it's like the 5-day rule. Harry says, CNBC article, Tesla reports more than $1 billion in net income during quarter 2, up tenfold from a year ago. You know what, Harry? That might be a Rob Maurer article. I think Rob Maurer works for CNBC, so it could very well be a Rob Maurer article out on Street Insider. So we'll see. Let me just see here. Okay, so there's an add-on. So Gary has consolidated some data for us. Non-GAAP EPS of 145 versus his estimate of 110. Street was at 97. Again, this is great. This ex ZEV credit margin of 25.8. If you don't know, ZEV credits is zero emission vehicle credits that Tesla gets from a lot of different legacy autos, especially like in Europe, for example. And everyone likes to shit on Tesla for that, but essentially it's the competitors paying because they can't create enough zero emission vehicles to offset their ICE vehicles that they need. So they're essentially paying Tesla for that. Yeah, I don't really get that argument against the Tesla. Money is money at the end of the day, right? But the really important thing is Tesla has shown the market that zero emission vehicle credits, it's still producing almost a 26% margin. Just nuts. And this quarter, Tesla actually reported less credits than the street expected it to. I think if I remember, one of the last earnings, one of the things Tesla got hit with was that it had so many zero emission vehicle credits that it got just shit on in the mainstream media, predictably, because it had so many zero emission vehicle credits, even though earnings were strong. Gary says, one sentence holding back the stock. With global vehicle demand at record levels, component supply will have a strong influence. I mean, this is like by far the most obvious sentence they could have had. In my opinion, I think one of the biggest things is like they talk about the 4680 battery cells and them not being, again, we read the report, rewind if you want to. We read the report front to back pretty much. The 4680 battery cell production is not capable of volume production yet. I think that's one of the things that investors were looking for. At least I was. I was looking to see if they'd give a bullish estimate on 4680 battery cell production. So I'm sure it's gonna happen soon enough, but we'll see. Rob Meyer does not work for CNBC. Someone says they write for the Street. Okay, the Street Insider. I could be wrong. The Street Insider, is that not owned by CNBC or the same company? The same parent company. Again, I'm probably wrong. Who knows? And again, let's see here. Another Tesla bear argument bites the dust. Tesla just reported its first quarterly delivering, excluding regulatory credits. Congrats, Tesla. Here are the details. Let's click on that. Let's get Rob some clicks. By the way, I'm gonna open the window. Oh, my arm. I got vaxxed up yesterday. My arm is like freaking killing me. You think Jim Cramer is the owner of the Street? Okay. Jesse says, no, it's a part of Cramer's business, not same. Okay. Thank y'all. It's all a blur. Like all that stuff is a blur to me in terms of who owns what. To me, the way I look at it is the media is owned essentially by one or two big families. Oh, Jim Cramer is the owner of the Street. There we go. Okay. Let's see what Rob has to say about this. So yeah, quarter two 2021 GAAP net income excluding regulatory credits, 788 million. Although this is Tesla's 8th straight profitable quarter, each previous quarter would have slipped to a GAAP loss with the exclusion of reg credits without considering additional tax adjustments. Tesla's first profitable quarter came in quarter one 2013, but that quarter's 11 million GAAP net income relied on $68 million of regulatory credit sales. While regulatory credit sales result in significant additional cash for the company, reliance on the credits for profitability have been a common criticism for Tesla throughout its history. So essentially, the whole gist of this article is you cannot say with any objective metric today, with any creative counting, that Tesla is not profitable. So again, one of the biggest arguments from Tesla Q. You guys saying, how's your 5G connection? Yo, my internet is trash in my room, and the reason for that is my girlfriend owns our office room in our house. She owns it. She works from home. I don't like to mess with her. She doesn't like me coming in her office, so I'm forced to record from here, which I don't mind. I know I get a window. You guys know I get the sun in my face. Happy with that. But the internet is pretty trash here. I have like 3 routers connected coming here. But she's going to the office in September. And when she goes to the office, you bet your bottom dollar I'm taking that room back for me. I deserve it. I should get the Starlink internet. Yeah, I'm not down to take a 100% price increase on my internet payment though. I get like 400 megabytes per second or 500 megabytes. Actually, no, I'm on gigabyte internet now. But it's just the fact that, my room is so far away from the router. Lucid Dream says, just for devil's advocate though, there's a lot of money parked in Tesla's stock while Tesla tries to prove it's slightly profitable. It's improving, but PE ratio is high. Remember, Lucid, you're totally right. But remember, with growth stocks, in my opinion, judging growth stocks by their PE, you miss some of the best opportunities in the world. Look at Amazon. If you had just looked at Amazon based on a PE, you would have never invested in Amazon likely, right? I think there's something to be said where Tesla, despite putting a lot of money into CapEx, despite still ramping, despite coming out with new product lines, despite growing total addressable market, TAM, despite all of the headwinds that the industry gives, Tesla is growing into what is going to be a beast of a company in the next 5 or 10 years. It's not there yet today, but the reason why it has such a high PE is because so many people are betting on the fact that Tesla will be a beast in 5 to 10 years, and that's what you're paying for today. So if you look at Tesla as a way that you look at your common value stock, it's the wrong, in my opinion, it's the wrong lens to look through Tesla. Now you can look through that lens. There's nothing stopping you from looking through that. But at the end of the day, you're going to miss a lot of opportunities on a lot of growth stocks that may not have decent earnings yet, but they have earnings potential, right? They have earnings potential. They have earnings potential. That's what you're really paying for. That's what you're really paying for. But being up, oh, you guys are making some 5G vax jokes? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, my 5G is, it's still calibrating my 5G in my arm. It was the second one. But yeah, I might have to run a cable for sure. It's going to have to be like a 50-foot long cable though. No 4680 battery cell production progress yet, says TK. Nothing massive in terms of hearing about that yet, right? Nothing massive other than hearing, hey, they're about 10% away, but they're a little bit away from volume production getting there right now. So maybe we get some more insights on this earnings call. And that's what we're really sitting here for, is potentially getting some updates on the earnings call. Again, earnings call is in about 50 minutes time for me saying this right now. So about 2:30 Pacific. Right now it's about 1:41. Abel, how's it going? I like the earnings, man. Q3 is going to be nuts. Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to sum it up. Cat 6 cable is cheap. Okay. I am, oh, you know what? Actually, yeah, I could probably run it. The problem is, you know what? I could probably run the cable, but it's going to be just like running through the house when I'm live streaming, which I guess is not a terrible problem. Let's see here. Hopper says nobody can predict greater than 5 years out. I mean, no one can predict tomorrow, right? The whole game of investing to me is not about knowing what's going to happen. It's about putting your thesis out there, putting your money behind it, and betting on the odds being in your favor, right? To say that anyone knows for a fact what's going to happen is not possible. I agree with that, but that's what investing is, right? You know, all of the hints can be in front of you, but you know, knowing is not knowing is half the battle. It's about having the opportunity or the willingness to want to put your money behind it. That's really investing, right? That's investing 101. Marcelo, how's it going, man? Okay. So, you know, they're talking about Delta variant stuff on CNBC right now. Let's check what the stock price is doing. You guys are going to see some big wicks. So check out this wick, this $10 wick. Thanks for subscribing, Tesla Power. Yes, if you're listening, you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so if you want. If you don't, no big deal. But if you like the content, I appreciate you joining the family. Johnny says, did you have to get two despite having COVID? Yes, I had COVID, and yes, you still, science shows us that you still have to get both. So now I'm done. I'm really expecting that everyone's telling me the post second shot, I'm really going to feel like I got hit by a truck. Cross my fingers. I don't feel like that right now. We'll see how it goes. David, for the super chat. I appreciate that. $5. Shout out to you, David. I'll let it say.
I recommend a Ubiquity network setup.
Ubiquity network setup. I appreciate the suggestion. I'm going to put that in my Google because I have no idea what that is, but obviously you know more than I. It's an Asus product, apparently. Okay. I'm going to check that out. I appreciate that. Much love, David. Thanks for the super chat. Some David hype in the chat. Pfizer. Yeah, yields are good. Yields are good. Yeah, yields are good. Volume after hours is slow. I have to say. Not much volume coming in. People are waiting for Elon to start talking. Jess says he didn't get any side effects. Nice. Welcome, Richard. Thanks for subscribing. Marcellus says, are we hitting 700 today? Today, considering that we haven't already hit that, probably not, barring some sort of announcement that we didn't expect from Elon. Cough, maybe a stock split, probably not. Again, the whole stock split theory that we went through, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're just joining us. If you watch towards the earlier part of the stream, again, it's been some time that we've been on, but I go through the point by point thread, the tweet thread from Alternate Jones on Twitter as to why July 28th, if it might happen, might be a signal of Elon giving us some notice on a stock split. Who knows, right? Here's the thing. If it doesn't happen, whatever. If it happens, I'm going to be watching this video back. And I'm probably going to be pissed that it happened and I didn't actually bet more on it or something. What time is the conference call? Again, conference call is in 45 minutes here. Ethernet over power line. That's another option, Jan, that I was considering, actually. Yeah. But since I'm in an apartment, I don't know if Ethernet over power line works. So we'll see. I don't expect a stock split talk. I don't expect any stock split talk during the earnings call. I just don't see it. Again, if you remember, when Tesla had bought Bitcoin, I'm not sure if you guys remember this. When Tesla had bought Bitcoin, they had already bought Bitcoin by the time the quarter one maybe earnings call had happened, but they didn't tell anyone. Like they knew that Tesla had bought Bitcoin. No one bothered asking, but they knew, but they didn't say anything. So they came out with a press release, or their 10Q, or their 10K came out. Their annual 10K came out, in which showed that Tesla had actually bought Bitcoin. So, it's not past Tesla to not talk about something during the call and to just leave it to the 10Q or in that case the 10K. How much was the Bitcoin impairment law charge? That was 29 million, or something very small to what we expected it to be. I don't know how 23, says Alexander. I don't know how it was calculated, how it was wrong, but it looks like the price that we used was not right. Thank you, Gonzalo, for tweeting. Much love. Gonzalo tweeted saying, bring the Juju, bring the Juju gang. Much love to you guys in the Juju gang. If this is your first time watching, consider hitting subscribe. We talk a lot about Tesla. We do earnings call every single quarter on this channel. New stuff that comes out. Tesla's kind of our favorite stock on this channel. I got a tweet here from Sama Tesla saying, thanks for the super chat, David, again.
More donations to your network setup. It's too blurry. Lol.
I'm on 1080 though. I appreciate the super chat. Much love, David. Let me just check. I'm on 1080, so maybe give it a couple seconds here. Hopefully it's not that shitty. Samuel says, shout out to the best people for following Tesla. I just need some advice. Buy my first Tesla. Besides the 3 orders I have Cybertruck, looking at buying Model Y, what's my best option, buy or release? Talk about the Model Y. I think one of the biggest things with the Model Y and the Model 3, but less with the Model 3 now, is the fact that depreciation is not as massive with something like the Model Y. In the early days of the Model 3, we saw a very low depreciation rate with the Model 3. And I think with Model Ys being so backlogged, I think I read in the US, you can't get a Model Y brand new until October. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. It's depreciation is going to be a lot lower there. Leases are different. You might have different tax liabilities and stuff you want to talk about there with your business. Maybe there's some, you can talk to your accountant about that, but yeah. Thanks again for the super chats, folks. Much love to you guys. What does Warren say here? I wanted to read what Warren said. There it is. We should all credit Tesla bull who predicted a beat. Analyst Gordon Johnson on earlier report, Tesla investors sent an email highlighting a beat as they have full control number who's not. Okay. I mean, it is what it is. Again, good juju only. Good juju only. Get your... Okay, if you're new here, you have no idea what juju is. Juju refers to our citrus gang, or juju gang, or orange gang, or mandarin gang, or insert orange type of orange gang. That during the early parts of the channel, I would live stream a lot, and you guys started to pick up that whenever I'd eat citrus or oranges during the live stream, because remember, I'm not professional, I'm eating on YouTube talking to you guys. When I was eating on live stream with you guys, oranges, Tesla started like popping, like it was like an algorithm, like it was a 1-for-1 reaction, and so hence the Juju gang was born, and that's where we are now. So shout out to the Juju, and you don't need admission, you automatically just claim the Juju gang, you're a part of it. You might have to hit subscribe though. Okay, let's see here. Anything else coming out? He's continuing to tweet, folks. Oh yeah, this is the Twitter thread that I will link to you guys. Let's see, copy or share link. Share link via copy link. Man, Windows, man. I'm gonna post it here for you guys. Eating citron. Waka, how's it going? Let's see here. Everyone has different tax laws, folks. I can't, there's no way I can tell which jurisdiction, what kind of business you have, all that sort of stuff. I'll link you guys that Twitter thread with the stock split. AJ, if you're watching this stream, hit me up. I'd like to digest this a little bit more. By the way, we should get Tom Nash on this channel. What are you guys' thoughts about that? You guys watched Tom Nash? You saw he was in the stream earlier. Brent says, will we hear the call live or just your commentary? We will hear the call live. I do not like interrupting the call for my stupid thoughts. I don't feel like I'm going to be adding anything during the call. So I'll just be streaming. The call itself. I'll probably be on camera so you can see my reactions. I think a lot of you guys like seeing my reactions to different things, but yeah. Makes sense, right? Like during the call, you don't want to be hearing my thoughts as Elon's talking. It's not the point. It's not the point. Tom Nash, yes. You guys are saying yes to having Tom Nash. Tom Nash is fun. Jan says yes. Perfect. Maybe I should tweet at him. Please have extra oranges on hand. I do. Don't worry. I got 2 extras. No problem in the money. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Like, as a consumer, I wouldn't want to be hearing some random dude try to talk about what's happening while Elon is talking or Zach is talking. What's the point? So I will be shutting up about that. The rambling madman, please bring him on. EV says, I was the 1,000th subscriber to Tom Nash and the 100th subscriber to hit that bid. EV, shout out to you. Wow, you got some sort of track record there. We're at, by the way, I have to give love. I got this comment. Whenever I give love, I always get a couple comments like, dude, stop saying your appreciation to everyone listening to you. It's so cringy. Listen, folks, without you guys, there would be no channel. So I'm in debt to you guys coming in, listening, having a good time with me, because if no one tuned in, there would be no channel, right? So we're almost at 10.8 thousand subscribers, which to me is crazy because, again, I'm just an idiot talking on stream and having a good time with my Tesla peeps. So see, Castamere likes it when he says Yeshu says he appreciated us. Keep saying that. Okay, much love, guys. I do. Again, it's just genuine. It's I know I say it a lot, but that's just how much I appreciate everyone tuning in. Lucid, okay. Lucid is interesting. Oh, thanks for the super chat, Peter Tran.
Congrats, Tesla. Have a 1/3 of a Subway sandwich on me. Thanks for the continued great content, Yashu. Hooray.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks for the super chat. Have 1/3 of a Subway sandwich. Now that is some top-notch super chatting right there. Yes, Subway sandwiches are $15, folks. It's just nuts. Listen, what Peter donated right there 10 years ago, when I was buying Subway footlongs a lot more than I thought probably than I should have been. Those were a footlong, like a $5. Who remember $5 footlongs, right? Martin, how's it going? We preserve mental capital together. Yes, Martin, we do. Not an idiot, great guy. Much love. Thank you. A $5 footlong, and I went to Subway. If you guys don't know the context here, what Peter is saying, I was saying on stream, I went to Subway last month. I bought a footlong, and it was like a basic footlong, okay? Like, I'm talking like egg salad type basic. Like, there's nothing really there. Mohammed, thanks for the super chat. $15. Appreciate that. Thank you. That's a full foot long. And welcome. That's a full foot long right there. Wow. And I checked out. I went to it was an egg salad or something. I got like all the veggies as I usually do. You got to stay away from the sauces. Pro tip: stay away from the sauces at Subway, because you don't want to add the calories in, right? If you're watching your calories there. And I went in and I checked out and it was like $13.60 something. And I was like, what the? I was like, what? And I gotta close the door because these guys are thinking I'm an idiot, which I am. These construction workers outside. So, and I checked out and I was like, what? And what's so funny is I tweeted and I made a video the day before when I bought the Subway about how I don't think inflation is real, how I think inflation is probably transitory. We're gonna get through it once the supply chain is over. And buying this, I'm not even kidding, by the way. Like when I say this, right? Like you probably think I'm joking. I'm not. But when I checked out and I was like $13.60 for this footlong, I was like, man, maybe inflation is real. Maybe inflation is real. I started feeling like inflation was real. So I don't know what the point of that story was, but I thought you'd like to hear it. Beware of carbs. Oh yeah, you're telling the wrong guy. I have way too many carbs. 10 euros from Marco for the other 2/3 of the Subway. Much love, Marco. You guys are hilarious. I've added some emojis in. Okay, I've added a couple emojis in. I've added Juju in here. And you have to be a channel member.
For the other 2/3 road Subway.
You guys are hilarious. I've added, if you're a channel member, and you'll know you're a channel member if you have like a little Elon beside you or Juju beside you. I've added a couple of emojis like that in there. I'm also going to add, I think, a footlong emoji in there as well. Oh, Martin got the Subway emoji. There we go. Okay, I'm going to add a footlong one when I get some time. Oh, goodness gravy. Oh, man. Okay. Hey, we've consolidated pretty well here. Okay. We've consolidated okay before earnings here. Again, earnings coming up in half an hour. Stay tuned. Don't have to go anywhere. I'll be streaming that. $658 or $668, 1.5% up after hours Tesla is. And yeah, it's going to be a really interesting earnings call today. What we hear. What do you think the price estimate for tomorrow is? I'm gonna spitball. I'm gonna say 680. I'll say 680. How's that? I don't know. We'll see. 680. Really, like the next level I'm looking at on Tesla, just excluding earnings, anyways, is 695. Call it 700 for the psychological break. Really, what we need to see is a 700 break. But if we talk about levels, I think we're above 665 is a level all the way up to 695 in my eyes. So a break of 665 should lead us back into the 695 area, barring, macro being massively down. So those are the levels I'm looking at. But really, if I'm talking about long-term big move up, a 700 is the level that I'm looking at in terms of a move up past that. You guys are saying 705, 785, easy. I like the optimism. Listen, I'm an optimist too. You got to be an optimist in life. Is India in a rumor? I think India, they have an office in, but I don't know if they are planning on producing very many cars there, or how they're going to be producing cars there right now. It's all, again, these are questions that would be amazing to talk about during the earnings call. A lot of Lucid. Okay, so did I ever get cleared up on Lucid? No. Okay, so a lot of Lucid is a scam versus Lucid is a great company. Listen, you guys know my opinion on Lucid. If you don't, I'll kind of highlight it here. I did buy Lucid earlier before before the announcement of them being with Lucid, and it was just CCIV. I only bought it as a trade. I think I bought in, I forget, but I made like it was like double the price. I only did options. It was like double the price in terms of share price. I got out. I trailed out, made some profits, And then I finally sold my last contracts in Lucid when the CEO said, we're actually not going to be producing any cars until the latter half of 2021, when they had originally said they want to target, I think, spring or summer. And so at that point, I was like, if you're not going to, like, the reason why I still even had trailers in Lucid or CCIV, I'm not sure if they've merged yet, is because I was thinking they're going to be releasing cars very shortly. And in my opinion, I think getting cars on the road and releasing them, even if it's a couple, is going to do a lot for investor confidence. The fact that they keep throwing that down the road and saying it's going to be later, it's going to be later, it's going to be later, I don't like the taste of. I don't have Lucid right now. You know, but should they start coming out with cars and start coming out with deliveries, like as Tesla bulls, like we should be hyped that we have another EV provider out there that could potentially be giving EVs on the road, right? I think as if you're a true Tesla bull, and the reason that I say this is because if you believe in Tesla's mission, what is their mission statement? It's to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable transportation. So by that mission statement, you should be happy to see other EV providers out there, especially pure EV plays versus legacies who also create ICE vehicles, right? So long story short, for me, my motto with Lucid was put up or shut up. For me, they haven't put anything up yet. Once they do, I'll reassess. I think manufacturing EVs is very hard, but it's good to see a pure EV play, in my opinion. Although that should matter, but I think a pure EV play is something that we should back. But it does have this corporate kind of vibe where they just conglomerated some of the smartest people in a boardroom together and thrown them into a company to tackle Tesla and everything. It doesn't feel like Nikola, right? It's a little bit different. I know Warren Redlick is very anti-Lucid. And actually I haven't fully watched his anti-Lucid videos yet, just because I don't give much attention to Lucid, in my opinion. But do I want them to succeed? Sure. Do I think they'll succeed? To be determined. That's why I don't have any money in Lucid, in my opinion. Yeah, listen, I don't think Oliver says Warren is not anti-Lucid, he's anti-liars. Yeah, maybe I gotta watch the video. I think, in my opinion, like, again, that's why I haven't really given much attention to Lucid at the moment, personally, because, should they start coming out with deliveries and, like, actually coming out, and, then I'll, probably dive more into them. But until then, they kind of lost me after they delayed deliveries like that, because I've seen that before, right? So we'll see.
What is excluded from GAAP versus non-GAAP?
Thanks for
For
the super
example,
chat.
what is the largest reason for the 1.45 EPS versus 1.04 GAAP?
Much love, Kevin. Thanks for the super chat. $4.99. What's excluded from GAAP versus non-GAAP? So we talked about this a little bit, and Investopedia is much smarter than I. Instead of me highlighting it, essentially, so there's two types of net income, GAAP and non-GAAP. GAAP stands for the generally accepted accounting principles. Non-GAAP is obviously the anti-version of that. The biggest adjustments that I'll say before I read anything here is stock-based comp. So if Elon unloads or unlocks a tranche full of earnings this quarter, like he did a lot of quarters last year and quarter one and even this quarter, those are technically expenses for this quarter, despite them not being, shall I say, a long-term expense for the company, right? Elon making his compensation this quarter shouldn't really affect, if you're a longer-term investor in Tesla, let's say, your earnings for 2025, right? So that's why we get GAAP and non-GAAP, because technically it's still an expense. You don't want to discount it fully, but to avoid misleading figures, that's why they have, stuff like the GAAP. So Investopedia says GAAP standardizes financial reporting. Yes, we all know that. Let's see what else they say here. Again, I'm not an accountant. I don't actually know, what I'm talking about, likely. So let's see here. Non-GAAP. So non-GAAP and provide a reconciliation between adjusted and regular results. Non-GAAP figures usually exclude irregular or non-cash expenses. So we talk about Bitcoin impairment loss and how technically that's a loss on Tesla. Well, ask yourself the question, did Tesla actually lose any cash from Bitcoin falling to 28,000 this quarter or last quarter? No, but technically that's an expense at an accounting level, because you were holding something that declined in value, right? So it's an impairment loss, that sort of stuff. So that's the difference. That's the biggest difference between GAAP and non-GAAP. Last year, we actually talked about GAAP and non-GAAP, and we're actually climbing a lot after hours here. Wow. $674 here after hours, folks. And we talked about this last year during S&P inclusion. We kind of made this argument last year to us, Tesla as a community, Tesla bulls as a community, is like, let's forget about GAAP after Tesla hits 4 consecutive profitable GAAP quarters, which was the requirement by the S&P fund. Let's just forget about GAAP, because GAAP accounts for so many irregular stuff, so much non-cash stuff, that really we should look at non-GAAP. What is the non-GAAP? That's my humble opinion, again, from an idiot. So I hope that helps. Evie says, Lucid's presentation screams, hey, look, Tim Cook, buy us out because you missed on Tesla. There's definitely a portion of that, 100%. Again, now be careful though, because don't think that that's a reason why you don't think they'll succeed. You still need a legitimate reason to think why someone won't succeed. You can ask a very obvious question. Where is Lucid going to get their batteries from? Simple question. Like that, without batteries, there is no EV. So, maybe if there's a lot of big Lucid bulls in here, like I'd be curious to see where they're going to get massive amounts of batteries from. That's the number one question. Oh man, what I forgot to do? I haven't edited my road trip video. I have a road trip video coming out where we go on our Model 3 and we go 1,500 kilometers to Lake Louise, Alberta and back, and supercharging and how the distance works. And, I want to make more videos with the car itself, like how I charge in an apartment, how much does supercharging cost, that sort of stuff, my review on the car. So I have to get my lazy butt to edit those kind of videos because I do want to be releasing that soon. Scott says, where is Lucid going to find a CEO that's in it for the long haul? I think there's something to be said about how the fact that, who was it? Marco said this, one of our amazing moderators, along with Tyler here on this channel, on the YouTube channel. Wow, look at this wick. What was that? Oh, it just disappeared. Oh, Weeble. Get your 2 free stocks with Weeble, folks. Link is in the description. They said all other CEOs, their goal is how do I maximize shareholder value and how do I maximize my compensation? Elon's whole entire goal is how do I get life to Mars? When you have 2 different ending goals, like vastly different like that, you make different decisions, right? In economics, a big portion, probably the biggest thing I learned from economics in university was economics is all about incentives. If you have incentives in place that proliferate good decisions, you're going to get a good outcome. If you have bad incentives in place, you're going to get a bad outcome. So it's not always about the system, it's about the incentives. So Scott, you make a great point. You say like, what other CEO out there is really going to have close to the same expectations or the same goals that Elon has? And when you have those kind of goals, it's very different. So yeah. I'm very bullish on the Iconic. Yes, I've heard great things about the Iconic. It has a great charging curve and able to charge at 125 kilowatt at 70% state of charge. It's better than any Tesla. 125 at 70%. Yeah, that's a lot. Usually at 70% state of charge, I would probably be pulling 50 kilowatts on the Model 3. I wish I knew which Model 3 in terms of battery tech I had, if it was the LFP one or if it was another one. I don't know. Larry says, Lucid doesn't need a big press since they will be only making a few hundred cars someday. Yeah. Chris, thanks for the super chat, $10. Tesla to sell their vision data. I'm going to let it say it for me. Otherwise, it's going to say it twice. Give it a second here. I'll just say it. I don't know how long it's going to take. Tesla to sell vision data to video game company to create realistic maps. Very interesting question. Well, the fact is, like Tesla, and you bring up a great point. Oh, there we go.
Tesla to sell their vision data to a video game company to create realistic maps?
That's such a use case. Thanks for the super chat again. That's one of those use cases that, like, to be honest, I never would have thought about. And having Dojo, if you don't know, Dojo is Tesla's machine learning supercomputer, similar to AWS. Having Dojo and having the amount. Oh, hold on. CNBS is talking about Tesla. Let's pull this up again. I'll talk about this in a second.
Maybe the bulls want to see more of an upside move. You can also make an argument that uptrend from August of last year, which has had an extraordinary move and some big downwards, has been held, and that the stock is consolidated and that uptrend is still intact. So interesting, as high multiple tech has had a very big bid. Tesla over the last 3 months hasn't done much, where again, some of these high multiple stocks, because the Fed has stepped back, because I think we're in this place where that type of liquidity is being rewarded. So disappointing on that if you're a Tesla bull, but I think overall the fact is that it's held that uptrend.
Shouldn't we not be disappointed by the lack of a move? I mean, Tesla once upon a time would move 10% up or down easily on earnings, but right now it's an S&P 500 company.
Yeah.
It's a very different company from what it was a year ago.
It's funny, the options market was implying about a 6% move in either direction tomorrow, and we'll see.
7,
I mean, it's up a couple percent right now. This is not the sort of post-market move on what looks like a really good quarter that you would expect is going to catch some steam tomorrow and just kind of keep going higher. Everyone who owns Tesla, and I guess the point where I let off with that kind of market cap versus market share is I don't think the market share gets better. Even, you know what I mean? Like right now, I'm just saying that, you know, they've gone from 30% EV market share in 2018 to about 11 or 12% right now. And all we know is that there are competitors coming. I know that was a pillar of the bear case for years, but it's kind of here now.
So is it that the market share, the total addressable market, is not growing fast enough? Or, I mean,
no, I think,
what is it about the market
I think
that
that's
they can't grow?
I just think of this. All right, they've had some issues in China, okay? So if they never really get that fixed, they're going to have a huge problem. We know that in Europe, we know the Germans, they kind of dominate, and all of that is coming. Karen just mentioned this Cadillac. Ford has an F-150, the best-selling truck in America that's coming out as an EV in a year from now. I'm saying, I have a Mustang
competition is coming. Competition is coming.
You know, I mean, I didn't even consider getting a Tesla. So I just think that that's going to be a big story. Forget about it. I think that, I mean, if the Trans Am, you know, I would have done that, but whatever. But I guess my point is that there's a lot of things to choose from right now. Tim's point about the price point is really interesting. Even Tesla's low-end cars.
Well, that was what it was all supposed to be about. So, I mean, it's not that Tesla hasn't been focused on it. This has been part of their reason for being, I think, is to make that affordable mass market EV. Yeah. I think they're having trouble doing it. And this is another way of talking about the valuation. I hate the fact that this is a tech company that doesn't really have that kind of, you know, that kind of growth. They have it in the multiple. They have it in those businesses that we still can't really quantify and talk about them as a tech company, but obviously not as an automaker.
All right, let's get more reaction to Tesla's quarter with Fast Money friend and Loop Ventures founder
I gotta dive into
that. You've heard the panel. We know it's a
look who it is, Gene Munster.
Tell me why Tesla should be valued where it is.
Well, today it shouldn't. I think that the panel appropriately outlined the valuation concern. I share some of that valuation concern. I do believe that ultimately this can be a much bigger company. And if you look at a 6.5 multiple for a hardware services and Apple type multiple on this, today off the revenue, it suggests it should be worth $450 billion. But if you take their guidance today for 50% growth, and I think this is an important piece to the conversation, and you go 2 years forward on that, you have $1 trillion company. And so to answer your question, I think that this is the definition of a growth stock that needs to ultimately, that's probably a year ahead of itself. But ultimately, I think it's going to get there. And I would just point out a couple quick data points here, is that the growth in the quarter, 122% delivery growth off of an easy comp a year ago. The auto industry grew at 55%. So of course, competition's coming, but they seem to be bucking the trend. Separately on this margin, and Tim's point about, you know, the profitability, I absolutely agree. This company needs to prove that it is a tech-like margin business. The margins, this Phil mentioned, was 25.8%. Last quarter was 22%. They did that despite ASPs being down 2% and a higher component pricing environment. And so I think what you're seeing is they're not there yet. This requires investors to look beyond the current year. Of course. But if you take the trends that they're having in margins and the demand piece and put those together, I think you can build a case that this can be a much bigger company, albeit a bumpy ride there.
He's really trending the line.
I think that point is really key, Gene. The part about they expect 50% average annual growth in vehicle deliveries over a multi-year horizon. That is a growth multiple. So basically, you think just the margins have to catch up, and then you can back into the multiple they have today.
Well, they need to continue to grow, so they have to deliver on that. They're doing that this year, but ultimately, if they can do that for a couple of years and keep margins where they're at, I think investors will start to get comfortable. And this is the beautiful thing about Tesla and having an opinion on it is one camp, very smart camp, says competition is going to erode. Another camp, the camp that I'm in, says this is a large market and they can lose market share but continue to grow at 50%. And I think that the stock will be rewarded for that.
What's your number one question for, I mean, if you could ask Elon Musk a question on the call, what would that be?
So they just started selling FSD as that's the full self-driving as a subscription, and it puzzles me that why they still market it as full self-driving. And I would just ask that is that it does a lot of things. It's better than any other car manufacturer, but I think that they need to kind of tighten some of the language around that for marketing purposes, and then allow consumers to kind of get behind it for the stage that it's at today. We're still a few years away from autonomy, despite the language they have around FSD. And that subscription piece, just one final thought there, the reason why I start there as the top question is that it has a massive, highly profitable revenue, and eventually 10 years from now, all cars will be full self-driving. And they talk about margin expansion. They can get there in a hurry if they expand with this subscription service.
Hey, Gene, it's Tim. So FSD, yeah, maybe at some point, very high margin business. That could be a big part of the business. But what we're really talking about, and even Melissa alluded to the 50% growth, at least in terms of units. And then we talked about that essentially the profitability of the core business is not that of a tech company. But we're still talking about an auto company. Even what you're talking about, how about the stuff that's been applied to this story for a long time around either some of the data, some of the technology, and obviously the battery? That's the part that to me is where the bulls have really fallen back on all the time and said it's not really an auto company. So can you talk about that? Because all we're talking about today are the margins of an auto company.
Well, first, they have to continue to show these margins and move them from 25, 26% into the mid-30s, mid-40s over time. So to answer your question, I still think auto is a big piece to it. And there are other pieces to it. You could talk about what they're doing in energy capture and energy storage and potentially robo-taxi. There's these different things that you can bolt onto. But I'm just, at least today, I'm taking a step back and just saying, let's just focus on that auto business. And you bring a good point that, should we give them credit for being a tech company? And the answer is today, no. But if they keep doing what they're doing right now, a year, 2 years from now, I think that more investors will, and that will move the multiple and the stock higher.
All right, Gene, maybe we'll see you a little bit later on. Thanks so much, Gene Munster of Loop
Thank
Ventures. Guy Adami, what would you ask Elon Musk if you could about the quarter or about the business?
My question would be around China. Does the situation, is what's been transpiring in China over the last couple of weeks, is it concerning? And, where's Tesla in terms of being in the crosshairs or not, as things seem to progress there? That would be one of the things that I would ask. I think that's important given their exposure.
Yeah. Karen, does this make GM more valuable this quarter?
What?
I don't know. We'll see. But that's a great question. I think that the market share issue obviously is huge. If Tesla maintains their market share or grows their market share at the expense of GM, then no, it doesn't. But I think the differential is so massive. It's so massive that if you get a tiny bit of the way there, GM is very undervalued. So I'm long GM.
Oh.
Coming up,
Damn.
the China crackdown
Mic
continues.
drop.
Big tech feeling the pressure.
Mic drop. Mic drop. Okay. Now you guys know why I don't put on CNBC a lot. Okay, listen. A lot to unpack there. Okay, number one, did you guys notice, and I see you guys are commenting this as well, how many different bears they had versus just Gene Munster? I'm pretty sure, by the way, one of the hosts there is long oil. I think Gerber Kawasaki. Man, what's his name? Mr. Kawasaki. I forget his name. I follow him on Twitter. I think it's Gerber. But Anyways, man, I butchered his name. What's his name? I'm just gonna pull it up here. He has a great video. Ross. Why did I say Gerber? Oh, it's Ross Gerber. Ross Gerber. I don't know why I said Kawasaki. But Ross Gerber has a great interview where he calls him out about being long oil. Okay. But listen, you know what's interesting though? Jim, there's a massive gap between Tesla and GM. Yeah, I know. Listen, okay. Here's the thing that we have to realize. It's still worthwhile us hearing the other side because number one, it allows you to sharpen your knife should you need to come into an argument, right? You need to be, he who is the most informed will win the argument, right? Number one, long vinegar and oil. But number two, it gives you a perspective into if you believe in Tesla. I'm guessing if you're watching this stream, you probably believe in Tesla as the company. It gives you a glimpse into the other side. And I've seen this before with Amazon. I've seen this before with Apple. Okay. Ross Berger. Sorry, I messed that up. Big time butchered his name. I'm sorry. Okay. But what it gives you is a glimpse on the other side. So number one, you have to realize not every person is going to be pro the companies you're pro. So by learning the other side, and I think we already know a large portion of the arguments, it gives you at least something to, at least further your information on. Sometimes, depending on how informed the argument might be. But number two, it shows you how much potential you might still have ahead. A lot of people say, okay, you've missed the boat on Tesla, or you've missed the boat on Amazon, or you've missed the boat on Apple. There have been outspoken bears. I'm thinking, for example, on Apple. I remember even like 2015 on Twitter, I used to follow Doug Cass. I'm not sure if you guys remember Doug Cass. He was an infamous bear of Tesla, or of Apple. I think I'm right there. I'm just gonna Google it just to make sure I am not wrong. Yeah. Okay. So here, I'll show you guys here. Doug Cass, a serial Apple basher, who shorted Apple, and guess what? He was like every historic huge company has their perma bears, right? Just the way it is. I think number one, you still got to be respectful to everyone, barring that they're respectful to you. That's just the name of the game. It's okay to believe the other side of the argument. Well, this is paywalled. I ain't paying for you, Fortune. But the point here is every huge company has their bears. So this is not out of the question of what's happening here. Earnings call starts in about 8 minutes here. I have it here. So this is, again, go back and listen to the interview that I did with Siraja, the great prophet. It's about an hour long. He talks about the media. And one of the most favorite quotes I had from that interview that I did with him was that he said that most people think the media is an institution, but really the media is a business. Their whole goal is to drive clicks, drive profit, and serve their customers. And who are their customers? It's Legacy Auto. It's not Tesla, right? So, this is the thing that we have to boycott if we can. So it's just crazy to me that despite this amazingly record-blowing revenue, gap, profit, everything, there's still. And do you guys notice how G Munster straddled the line there of being not like a quote crazy Tesla bull, but straddling the line of like, hey, I'm still reasonable. I still see what you're saying. But look, this is what I'm thinking about why this will be a massive company. Listen, Gene Munster, if you talk about a sales perspective, he is doing it right. To sell someone on something, you don't say you're wrong. You say, hey, I hear you out. I understand where you're coming from, but this is why I think otherwise. You don't sell someone by saying you're an idiot. I don't believe in anything you're saying. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, that makes for great TV. Trust me, I love that sort of stuff. But the way that you sell someone on something is you understand where they're coming from. You be empathetic from maybe their misinformed information. And I get that they might be biased, obviously, from oil and all this sort of stuff. But you be empathetic to that, and then you try to rationalize with them to bring them over to your side. I think that's what you have to do. That was a good interview as well. So again, we have let's see here, 5 minutes and 29 seconds. G Munster said, "I will never buy Tesla and I'll never short it." Wait, G Munster said he'll never buy Tesla. I'm pretty sure. Does he not have? Does he not own Tesla? I think he does, doesn't he? But he probably said I'll never short Tesla, which is probably a good idea. So yeah. Yeah, 5 minutes left till to earnings. Let me just make sure that I am set to go with audio and all that sort of stuff. Last time, you guys remember, I got screwed with that copyright thing on Tesla investor relations. He does own a Tesla. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, shorting Tesla is you know, you're just, I'm not sure why you'd want to do that ever. Even by the way, even we definitely like the stock. You know, even notorious Tesla Q folks will not be shorting Tesla, right? Like they don't think it's worth it anymore. So if that shows you anything, let's see here. Okay. All right, we're ready to go. We got 4 minutes left here till earnings call. Probably gonna take a couple minutes over. Oh, it's Charlie Munger that said that. Gotcha. Berkshire. Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. He'll never buy Tesla and never short it. Yes. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, obviously one of like some of the biggest goats when it comes to investing. But yeah, they're very not. They're not pro Tesla. That's for sure. Okay, I've got the earnings call pulled up here. It's on YouTube, and let me just pull this up here. Folks, this has been an amazing stream, an amazing stream. Thanks so much for joining this. If this is your first time, you had a good time, consider joining the Juju gang. Hit the subscribe. I probably am going to have a video out for tomorrow morning, despite me streaming right now. Longest 4 minutes of your life. Okay, great. Let me just mute myself so I can play the music here. Tesla has some of the most bomb classical music going on during their pause, but I played it one time and I shit you not, I got like this copyright thing right after I published the live stream, and it was like, hey, we've you know, Beethoven and whatever has like filed a copyright thing on your video for this. I was like, oh man, crazy. Chris says, where is their YouTube live stream at? Well, this is just embedded into the IR page. I'm going to be streaming it. It's not live yet, but as soon as it does, I'll post it up. But I'm guessing it's probably on the official Tesla channel. Thank you, Parker. Appreciate that. Demolish the like button, says Andre. Much love. So yeah, it's going to be a good time. I put it on pause right now. Thanks for subscribing. I'll pause alerts during the call as well. I just paused. I paused the classical music on hold right now just because of copyright. You know what's hilarious too is all my buddies are going golfing today, and I can't go anyways. So I'm kind of upset about that. But like my arm is nuts. I also, by the way, sprained my. It's been a tough week, folks. It's been a tough week. I sprained my MCL playing volleyball. I'm like temporarily on crutches. It's just been a crazy week for me. Good Juju, y'all, says Marco. Yes, much love. Juju gang. To be fair, the performance of that music might be... Oh, it was 120% copyrighted, for sure.
Good Juju, y'all.
Thanks for the super chat, Marco. It was 100% copyrighted. I'm not denying that. But all I'm saying is I didn't ask for the music. I just tried playing the earnings call. Okay. I've got... All right, I'm playing it on my phone. Evie says classical music cannot be copyrighted. Maybe it was, you only have for 100 years. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was maybe it was that time that we played. Oh, you know what? It was the time that, by the way, this is going to be a throwback. If you guys, I'm not sure if you guys remember this from the channel earlier this year. Do you guys remember when we listened to Apple's earning call, which was an hour earlier? It was like a Taylor Swift song then, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I've got the classical music playing in my, on my phone here. So as soon as it shifts towards Zachary Kirkhorn, we're going to be switching on that. It's going to be good. And by the way, let's do one look at the Tesla stock. So let me just pull up Webull. 672, pretty strong reaction post earnings after hours. And again, if you were holding calls for today, again, the 660s are probably, the way that we open right now, they're probably going to open close to a little bit positive, like probably $25. But remember, if you own lottos, if you have lottos for this week on the call side, my suggestion is if I was in your boat, getting on financial advice, is theta decay is so massive in right after the first 5 minutes of trading. That's not to say that Tesla doesn't run the whole entire day and you're better off selling later. You never know. But theta decay is so massive. I have found the majority of the time I can get my best fills for my calls or puts or whatever I'm doing in the first 5 minutes of trading, especially if I'm long, let's say lottos out the money. So something to consider there. You guys, I love you guys. You guys are arguing about classical music copyrights. Don't even worry about it. It's yeah. I don't mess with Beethoven. I'll say that. I mean, I mess with Beethoven, but I don't mess with his copyright. Shout out to Beethoven. Maybe I should get him on the channel. That's a joke. I'm not that much of an idiot. Okay, not up yet. Tech Gamer says I have an 800 strike calls for July 30th. Nice. I mean, July 30th. Yeah, those are going to decay fast. You got to be careful. All right, we're live. Let me post up the audio. Oh, the music is back on. Hold on. Oh, they almost got me there. She came on. She said, hey, we're about to go live. And then she played her classical music again. Gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. Oh, yeah, gotta turn off my alert box. Much love, everyone subscribing and super chatting. I appreciate you, but I'm going to turn off the alert box for the call. I already pulled up the after hours. We're here. I'll do it again. After hours, we're sitting at $673. $673. It's a welcome change from what it normally is at. Play Baby Shark. I got the oranges. Don't worry. If I go off of video, it's not because I hate everyone. It's because I probably have to take a leak soon. Just full disclosure. I thought you'd like to know. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'll definitely pull up the trading. Actually, I'll do that now. Good call. Let me just see here. Chrome. Let me just see. And then I'll make it smaller. Good call. So we can see the price action. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll mark on Webull exactly when the call started, which I think is going to be right around here. So we can just get a little idea right around here. Okay, so these are 1 minute. This is a 1 minute chart of Tesla. Again, 673 is kind of where we're starting at for this. I hope that's good. I hope that's good. I take feedback, folks. I take feedback. I'm not a dinosaur. Okay, cool. Again, if you're having a good time, feel free to join the Juju gang. Much love to everyone. I'm gonna get rid of this too. Awesome. All right. Almost there. Still the classical music going on. Let me just see here. Did you guys hear that? Was that coming in okay? Don't worry, it's not on yet. Dingy says I learned a lot. Awesome. Okay, great. So audio is set. I'm just a matter of me turning it on then. Awesome. You guys heard it? Thank you. Loud and clear. This is awesome. I'm hanging out with 730 of my favorite pals. Even though I know there's a good percentage of you guys that probably hate who I am, everything about me, but much love. But I'm having a great time. The only thing I would change about this right now is the fact that I'm sweating profusely because I've closed the window due to noise, and I am wearing way too much clothes for a hot summer's day in Vancouver. So it'll be good. It'll be a good earnings call. The only thing is I really hope the questions that are put up are half decent this time around. Man, the questions that have come up on Tesla usually are just I don't know what to say. Let's see on Say what the questions are. We do defend you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Vancouver's not typically hot. I'll give you that. But it's about like 29 degrees today, 28 degrees, something like that. I mean, that's hot for me. That's not Fahrenheit. So I'm from the 6. No, I'm from Vancouver. Well, I guess Vancouver probably should be called the 6. But okay. So Rob Mayer is asking, Tesla's website still says Cybertruck production is expected to begin late 2021. Can you share more details on the current status of the Cybertruck and confirm it's still in production for this year? That's the number one question. Okay. Interesting. So it's actually funny because they've changed the way that questions get voted now. And it's all anonymous, and you're not allowed to promote your question like the way that, we would do before, tweeting it out like, hey, upvote my question with your shares. Now it's just anonymous. And so, yeah, open the windows. Yes, exactly, Marco. That's my plan. 100%. I'm going to have to do that. In the Money says Baltic Sea, 90% humidity feels like 30 degrees Celsius. Ooh, you're in the Baltic Sea. Gotta love that. Ooh, Rob with a great question as well. Second one, saying Tesla will be opening up their supercharging network to other EVs. Can you share more details about how this will be structured? Will this be select brands? Will they contribute to the growth? Great question. I do not think we get any details about that, despite that. Mark my words. It's going to be a very loose, macro, broad level answer by Elon or Zach. Again, my guess on that, by the way, the supercharging network question is that I think it's a bargaining chip for Tesla to negotiate during this European red tape and everything that's happening there. Emmett Peppers with a solid question, asking, hey, Elon, can you do an interview with one of our YouTube channels once or twice a year? I would nominate Dave Leon Investing and Rob Mayer's Tesla Daily channels as the first possible candidates. Love that question. I would love to see Rob interview Elon or Dave interview Elon. A 10% markup, that's probably not even enough. Martin says, if you mix oranges in a smoothie, you can probably intake more juju per stream. Just saying. Martin, this is why we have one of the most intellectual subscriber bases on YouTube. I don't care what you say. That sort of top level comment, like, you don't see that. You don't see that comment on other channels. That is a top level comment. No, hit that bit. Much love. Maybe like I know where I am on the food chain. I'm not up there, but I will be eventually if the Juju gang unites. And I would love to interview Elon as well. Ideally in person, I think probably would be better. But Omar says Elon is on that Indian Standard Time right now. Omar, you know what's hilarious is I feel like every Asian culture has a joke about that. I was talking with my Filipino friend about how there's Filipino Standard Time. About like we played volleyball this weekend, 3 p.m. We invited people and they didn't show up till 6. That was Filipino Standard Time. We said we were joking, but you're totally right. Off brand question, but I'm gonna take it. What are your thoughts on the Ekman Larson trade? Hockey. You guys listen to hockey. I love the stream is starting in 2 weeks. I like the trade. It's hinge. Oh, here it is. Here's the stream. I like the trade.
Webcast.
Okay.
At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. After the speaker's presentation, there will be a question and answer session. To ask a question during the session, you will need to press star 1 on your telephone. Please be advised that today's conference is being recorded. If you require any further assistance, please press star 0. I would now like to hand the conference over to your speaker today, Martin Vieca, Senior Director of Investor Relations. Please go ahead.
Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Tesla's second quarter 2021 Q&A webcast. I'm joined today by Elon Musk, Zachary Kirkhorn, and a number of other executives. Our Q2 results were announced at about 1 p.m. Pacific time in the update deck we published at the same link as this webcast. During this call, we will discuss our business outlook and make forward-looking statements. These comments are based on our predictions and expectations as of today. Actual events and results could differ materially due to a number of risks and uncertainties, including those mentioned in our most recent filings with the SEC. During the question and answer portion of today's call, please limit yourself to one question and one follow-up. Please press star 1 now if you would like to join the question queue. But before we jump into Q&A, Elon has some opening remarks. Elon?
Sure. So to recap, Q2 2021 was a record quarter on many levels. We achieved record production, deliveries, and surpassed over $1 billion in GAAP net income for the first time in Tesla history. I'd really like to congratulate everyone at Tesla for an amazing job. This is really an incredible milestone. It also seems that public sentiment towards EVs is at an inflection point. And at this point, I think almost everyone agrees that electric vehicles are the only way forward. Regarding supply chain, while we're making cars at full speed, the global chip shortage situation remains quite serious. For the rest of this year, our growth rate will be determined by the slowest part in our supply chain, which there are a wide range of chips that are at various times the slowest part in the supply chain. I mean, it's worth noting that if we had everything else, if we had vast numbers of vehicles and cells, we would not be able to make them. Everything except the chips, we wouldn't be able to make them. The chip supply is fundamentally the governing factor on our output. It is difficult for us to say how long this will last because we don't have. This is out of our control essentially. It does seem like it's getting better, but it's hard to predict. In fact, even achieving the output that we did achieve was only due to an immense effort from people within Tesla. We were able to substitute alternative chips and then write the firmware in a matter of weeks. It's not just a matter of swapping out a chip. You also have to rewrite the software. So it was an incredibly intense effort of finding new chips, writing new firmware, integrating with the vehicle, and testing in order to maintain production. And I'd also like to thank our suppliers who work with us. And there've been many calls, midnight, 1 a.m., just with suppliers in resolving a lot of the shortages. So thanks very much to our suppliers. Let's see, in terms of FSD subscription, we were able to launch full self-driving subscription last month, and we expect it to build slowly but then gather a lot of momentum over time. Obviously, we need to have the full self-driving build widely available for it really to take off at a high rate, and making a lot of progress there. So yeah, I think FSD subscription will be a significant factor probably next year. With regard to Giga Texas and Giga Berlin, we're actually doing this earnings call from Giga Texas, so we're in the factory right now doing this earnings call. And the team's made incredible progress here. You can see the pictures online, and see that there's basically nothing a year ago, and there's a mostly complete barge factory a year later. So it's really great work by the Giga Texas team, and then also great work in Berlin, or Brandenburg, with the team there. So we expect to be producing the sort of new design of the Model Y in both factories in limited production later this year. It's always like it's hard to sort of explain to people who have not been through the agony of a manufacturing ramp. Like, why can't you just turn it on and make 5,000 a week? It is so hard to do manufacturing. It is so hard to do production. First approximation, there are 10,000 unique parts and processes that have to work, and the rate of growth of production goes as fast as the least lucky and dumbest of those 10,000 things. And a bunch of them are not even in our control. So it's like it's insanely difficult. I'm fond of saying that prototypes are easy and production production is hard. And arguably, the really remarkable thing that Tesla has done is not to make an electric car or to be a car startup, because there have been hundreds of car startups in the United States and outside the United States. So the thing that's remarkable is that Tesla didn't go bankrupt in reaching volume production. That's the amazing part, because everyone else did. Because they all thought the prototype or the idea was the hard part, and it is not. It is trivial by comparison with actual production. So it's always worth noting that of all the American car companies, there are only two that have not gone bankrupt, and that is Ford and Tesla. So, the seeds of defeat are sown on the day of victory, and we must be careful that we do not do that. So often, if you look at history, so often the seeds of defeat are sown on the day of victory. We'll endeavor not to make that the case at Tesla. So let's see. The model lines in Texas and made in Texas and Berlin will look very much like the Model Ys we currently make, but there are substantial improvements in the difficulty of manufacturing. So, for example, the Model Y made here and in Berlin will have a cast front body and a cast rear body, whereas the one in California has a cast rear body but not a cast front body. We're also aiming to do a structural pack with 4680s cells, which is a mass reduction and a cost reduction. And but we're not counting on that as the only way to make things work. We have sort of a backup plan with a non-structural pack and 2170s essentially. So, but at scale production, we obviously want to be using 4680s and structural pack. From a physics standpoint, this is the best architecture, and from an economic standpoint, it is the lowest cost way to go. The lightest, lowest cost. But there's a lot of new technology there, so it is difficult to predict with precision when does it work and when do you reach scale production. And Drew's going to talk a bit more about the 4680 production. So we are making great progress on the 4680 cells, but there is a tremendous amount of innovation that we're packing into that 4680 cell, and so it's not simply a sort of minor improvement on state of the art. There are, and we went through this on the battery cell day, really dozens of, half a dozen major improvements and dozens of small improvements. So I think it will be great, but it's difficult to say when the last of the technical challenges will be solved. So in conclusion, our team continues to make huge efforts to make our factories run at full speed, which is very difficult. We have had some factory shutdowns due to part shortages, and we hope those will be relieved in the coming weeks and months. And we're making great progress on full self-driving. Some of the progress is not easy to see because it's at sort of a foundational software level. And so then it ends up being sort of a 2 steps forward, 1 step back situation. But over time, if you do 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and keep going, you do move forward. So I'm highly confident that the cars will be capable of full self-driving. If they have a full self-driving computer and the cameras, I'm confident that they will be able to drive themselves with a safety level substantially greater than that of the average person. Once again, thanks to all of our employees for making this a breakthrough year for Tesla and an incredible quarter. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. And we have some follow-up remarks from Zachary Kirkhorn.
Yeah, thanks, Martin, and thanks, Elon. Just to reiterate, Q2 was a great quarter for the Tesla team with strong improvements across the business. In particular, auto gross profit and margin, excluding credits, increased substantially. This was primarily driven by better cost optimization across our factories, good execution against our cost reduction plans, as well as increases in production and delivery volume. There was some benefit from pricing action, mostly in North America. However, it was small in the context of the other contributors. Note that the Model S and X program was at a slight loss for the quarter due to the relatively low volume. And supply chain challenges, including expedites, continued to provide cost headwinds. Additionally, it's encouraging to see the progress made on profitability within our energy and services and other businesses. While there's some benefit to looking at our progress quarter over quarter, I find it more helpful to look at progress over a slightly long-term horizon. Over the last 2 years, our vehicle delivery volumes have more than doubled. This volume increase was made possible by a steady decrease in ASPs of more than 10%, driven by a roadmap to increase affordability and shifting mix towards our more affordable vehicles. Yet over that same period of time, our auto gross margin, excluding credits, has increased nearly 10 percentage points, to our highest yet since the introduction of Model 3. This is only possible because our average cost per vehicle has reduced by more than the reduction in average price. This is a remarkable achievement in the context of the volume growth and ASP reduction as mentioned, and a testament to the hard work by the Tesla team. Additionally, OPEX as a percentage of revenue has declined, and in particular SG&A, representing the work we've done to become more efficient as we scale the company while still making the required R&D investments to support our future. As a result, our GAAP operating margins have risen from negative to double-digit, in line with what we have guided. By managing our overhead costs and driving higher volumes, our P&L is benefiting from the marginal profitability of each incremental unit. Or said differently, we are recognizing the benefits of scale and improved fixed cost absorption. With strong operating cash flows and cash balance, we are putting that cash to use. CapEx continues to tick up, primarily driven by capacity investments in Austin, Berlin, and Shanghai. Additionally, each quarter we are using our cash to retire legacy debt, which was taken on at a time when interest rates and company risk were much higher than in today's environment. As I've mentioned before, our 2021 volumes will skew towards the second half of the year as we push for continued sequential increases in volume. Despite the great work so far managing the instability of the supply chain, these challenges remain and are unfortunately increasing in pain with a higher volume. As we work through the uncertainty, we want to ensure we do our best to manage customer wait times, as well as the impact these interruptions have on our employees and costs. And as Elon mentioned, volume growth will be determined by part availability, as we have the factory capacity ready and are in a strong demand position. I'm excited to see the progress made by the Tesla team as we continue building the business and our financials. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much, Zach. And now let's go to the retail investor questions on say.com. The first question from Robert M. is, Tesla's website still says Cybertruck production is expected to begin in late 2021. Can Tesla share more details on the current status of the Cybertruck and confirm if production is still expected?
Okay.
Lars, do you want to?
Sorry, we cut out there for a second. Yeah, the Cybertruck is currently in its alpha stages. We finished basic engineering architecture of the vehicle. With the Cybertruck, we're redefining how the vehicle is being made. As Elon said, it carries much of the structural pack and large casting designs of the Model Y being built in Berlin and Austin. Obviously, those take priority over the Cybertruck, but we are moving into the beta phases of Cybertruck later this year, and we'll be looking to ramp that in production in Giga, Texas after Model Y is up and going.
Yeah, it's just worth reemphasizing that the extraordinary difficulty of ramping production of large manufactured items. The risk of being repetitive, it's actually easy to make prototypes or sort of handle small volume production, but anything produced at high volume, which is really what's relevant here, is it's going to move as fast as the slowest of the, say, rough order of magnitude, 10,000 unique parts and processes. And so you could have 9,999, but just one is missing. I mean, we were missing, for example, like a big struggle this quarter was the module that controls the airbags and the seatbelts. And obviously, you cannot ship a car without those. And that limited our production severely worldwide in Shanghai and in Fremont. So it wouldn't have mattered if we had 17 different car models because they all need the airbag module. So it's just irrelevant. In order for Cybertruck and Semi to scale to volume that's meaningful for customer deliveries, we've got to solve the chip shortage, or working with our suppliers. People sometimes say, "Why don't you just build a chip fab?" Okay, that would take us, even moving like lightning, 12 to 18 months. So it's not like you can just whip up a chip fab. It's just let's just make a quick chip fab. Some of these things are anyway, it is quite a trial dealing with all of the constraints of scaling a large manufactured object. I think it may be the case that Tesla is scaling. I think we might be the fastest in history ever for scaling a large manufactured object. I think maybe the Model T would have been comparable back in the day, the Ford Model T. And probably the internet knows the answer, but I think we may be scaling large manufactured objects at the fastest rate in history, or I'd like to know who did it faster, so we can learn from them. So it's worth just noting that, in the grand scheme of things, it's not bad. So Cybertruck and Semi actually both are heavy users of cell capacity. So we've got to make sure we have the cell capacity for those two vehicles, or it's kind of pointless. We can make a small number of vehicles, but the effective cost if you make a small number of vehicles is insane. They would literally cost $1 million a piece or more. And there's a reason why you do things in volume production, which is to get the economies of scale that get the cost down. But we are looking at a pretty massive increase in cell availability next year. But it's not like in January 1. It comes through it ramps up through the course of next year. But even without Tesla's okay. Even without Tesla cell production, we believe our suppliers will be able to deliver about twice as much cell output in next year as this year. Drew, do you want to talk more about that?
Yeah. Given concerns over cells bottlenecking growth, our target is to grow cell supply ahead of the 50% year-on-year growth targets of the vehicle business, and also enable increased energy storage deployments.
Yeah.
Our cell suppliers are tracking to double their production in 2020.
Yeah. It's worth noting, if you have a target of a certain number, that doesn't mean it happens as sure as night follows day. It's a target. So if there is some calamity in the world that interrupts the supply chain, then it will be less. But the contracts that we have with cell suppliers call for roughly a doubling of cell supply to Tesla in 2022. And we have to juggle these exponential. It's a whole bunch of exponential graphs sort of overlaid on top of each other, and small changes in where you are on the x-axis of time can quite substantially change the area under the curve. So what we're thinking of doing is depending on it's basically overshooting on cell supply for vehicles, and then as we have, say, excess cell supply in 1 month or another, then routing that cell output to the Megapack and Powerwall. Or by the same token, if we're prioritizing vehicle production, if there's a shortage of cell output for some reason, then we will throttle down Megapack and Powerwall production. But something's got to give, basically.
Or if there's a disruption to vehicle production,
yes,
we have an outlet for that.
Yes, exactly. There's a tremendous amount of inertia in the supply chain. So if we say to a supplier, we want you to double cell output, well, even doing that in a year is very difficult. And then that system has a tremendous amount of momentum. It is like a flotilla of super tankers. It's insane.
Speaking of which, from a raw materials perspective, we also have long-term contracts to secure our supply chain to also enable this growth. So we're not just looking at the suppliers, but upstream from there.
Yeah.
Which is more flotilla.
Yeah, exactly. As mentioned, things will move as fast as the slowest part of the entire supply chain, which goes all the way back to raw materials, lithium and nickel and that kind of thing. There's sometimes misperception that Tesla uses a lot of cobalt, but we actually don't. Apple uses, I think, almost 100% cobalt in their batteries and cell phones and laptops, but Tesla uses no cobalt in the iron phosphate packs and almost none in the nickel-based chemistries. So on a weighted average basis, we might use 2% cobalt compared to, say, Apple's 100% cobalt. Anyway, so it's really just not a factor. We expect to basically have zero cobalt in the future. So, I do agree with that. I think probably there is a long-term shift more in the direction of iron-based lithium-ion cells rather over nickel. As the energy density of sort of iron, or what's called typically iron phosphate, but you might as well just call it iron. The phosphate is taken for granted. But iron-based cells, lithium-ion cells, and nickel-based lithium-ion cells, I think probably we'll see a shift. My guess is probably to 2/3 iron, 1/3 nickel, or something on that order. This is actually good because there's plenty of iron in the world. There's an insane amount of iron. But nickel is much less nickel, and there's way less cobalt. So it is good for relieving the long-term scaling to move to iron-based cells mostly. And I think long-term, possibly there's a good chance that all stationary storage, that is Powerwall and Megapack, move to iron. This is most likely the case since you do not need to transport it and there's less of volume and mass constraint for stationary storage. Then nickel would be really for long-range road transports, ships and aircraft and that kind of thing.
Thank you. Let's go to the second question from retail, which is, Elon has said that Tesla will be opening up the supercharger network to other EVs later this year. Can you share some more details on how this will be structured? Will this be a select brands, or will they contribute to the growth of this network?
Yeah, we're currently thinking it's a real simple thing where you just download the Tesla app and you go to a supercharger and you just indicate which stall you're in. So you plug in your car, even if it's not a Tesla, and then you just access the app and say, turn on the stall that I'm in for how much electricity. And this should basically work with, I think, almost any manufacturer's cars. There will be a time constraint. So if the charge rate is super slow, then somebody will be charged more because the biggest constraint at the superchargers is time. How occupied is the stall? And we'll also be smarter with how we charge for electricity. at the superchargers. So, rush hour charging will be more expensive than off-hours charging because there are times when the superchargers are empty and times when they're jam-packed. And so it makes sense to have some time-based discrimination.
Yeah, we've been doing that, and it's been working, and people respond. And it helps with utilization.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think we're in Europe and China and most parts of the world. It's the same connector for everyone. So this is a fairly easy thing to do. Developed our own connector, which, in my opinion, is actually the best connector. It's small and light, and looks good. It's no standard. So we developed our own connector, which, in my opinion, is actually the best connector. It's small and light, and looks good. So an adapter is needed to work for EVs in North America, but people can buy this adapter, and we anticipate having it available at the superchargers as well, if people don't sort of steal them or something.
We have a good solution for that.
Okay. So, but that is just that's a constraint on the North American thing. Yeah. That's basically a vestige of history. But I think we do want to emphasize that it is our goal is to support the advent of sustainable energy. It is not to create a walled garden and use that to bludgeon our competitors, which is sometimes used by some companies.
I think it's also important to comment that increasing the utilization of the network actually reduces our costs, which allows us to lower charging prices for all customers, makes the network more profitable, allows us to grow the network faster. That's a good thing there. And no matter what, we're going to continue to aggressively expand the network capacity, increasing charging speeds, improving the trip planning tools to protect against site congestion using dynamic pricing, as Elon mentioned. Yeah. And just continue to focus on minimum wait time for all customers. Yeah,
obviously, in order for this for the supercharger to be useful to other car companies, cars, we need to grow the network faster than we're growing vehicle output, which is not easy. We're growing vehicle output at a hell of a rate. So superchargers need to grow faster than vehicle output. So this is a lot of work for the supercharger team. But it is only useful in the grand scheme of things. It's only useful to the public if we're able to grow faster than Tesla vehicle output. So that is our goal.
Thank you very much. And the third question is, Elon said 4680 cells aren't reliable enough for vehicles. Is this referring to cycle life, degradation, or something else? Please update us on progress of 4680s and what still needs to be done to make them reliable enough for vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, really, this is not. We'll definitely make the 4680 reliable enough for vehicles, and I think are at the point where in limited volume it is reliable enough for vehicles. Yes. Again, going back to limited production is easy, or prototype production is easy, but high volume production is hard. There are a number of challenges in transitioning from sort of small scale production to a large volume production. Not to get too much into the weeds of things, but right now we have a challenge with basically what's called calendaring, or basically squashing the cathode material to a particular height. So it just goes through these rollers and gets squashed like pizza dough, basically, but very hard pizza dough, and it's denting the calendar rolls. This is not something that happened when the calendar rolls were smaller, but it is happening when the calendar rolls are bigger. So just we're like, okay, weren't expecting that.
Yeah. It's not a science problem. It's an engineering problem. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And the team is 100% focused on resolving these limiting processes as quickly as possible.
Exactly.
And on the reliability side, as Elon mentioned, we have successfully validated performance and the lifetime durability of the 4680 cells produced at Decoding. And we're continuing ongoing verification of that reliability. We're actually accruing over 1 million equivalent miles on our cells that we produce every month in our testing activities. Is, you know, the focus on that is very clear. We want high quality cells for all of our customers. And yeah, we're just focused on the unlucky limiting steps in the facility, and with the engineers focused on those few steps remaining, we're going to break through as fast as possible.
Meantime, we have a massive amount of equipment on order and arriving for the high volume cell production in Boston and Berlin, and but obviously, given what we've learned with the pilot plant, which is in Fremont, which is really quite a big plant by most standards, we will have to modify a bunch of that equipment. So, you know, it won't be able to start like immediately. But it seems like, I mean, Drew, correct me if I'm wrong, but like we think most likely we will hit an annualized rate of 100 gigawatt hours a year sometime next year.
We'll have all the equipment installed,
yeah,
to accomplish 100 gigawatt hours, and it's possible,
yeah,
that by the end of the year we will be at an annualized rate of 100 gigawatt hours by the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my guess is more likely than not, about 50% of reaching 100 gigawatt hours a year by the end of next year on an annualized rate, something like that.
Yep.
But it could shift by a little bit. So,
yeah.
But it's like nothing, as Drew mentioned, it's nothing fundamental. No. Just a lot of work.
Yeah, and even to the large roller question, Elon, right? Like on the anode side, the large rollers work great, no concerns. And so we're just learning as we go. And the nice thing about having that facility, you know, on the fast track like we had it, and we talked about it at Battery Day, was really de-risking the big factories here.
Yeah.
That's what we've done, and we've learned a lot. And with each successive iteration, the ramp up and the equipment installation will be faster.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. And the last question from retail is from Emmett. Can Elon do an interview with one of our YouTube channels once or twice a year? I would nominate David Lee on Investing or Rod Maurer's Tesla Daily channels as first possible candidates.
Yeah, I guess I'll do an interview. I mean, bear in mind, like if I'm doing interviews, then I can't do actual other work, you know. So it's not, you know, it's only so much time in the day. So, but yeah, I'll do it once. No, I won't do it annually, but I'll do it once. I think also like this is the I wouldn't say the last time I'll do earnings calls, but this is I will no longer be default doing earnings calls. So obviously I'll do the annual shareholder meeting, but I think going forward I will most likely not be on earnings calls unless there's something really important that I need to say.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to institutional questions. The first one, and we covered a lot of this already. Can you please update us on timelines for the start of production of Berlin and Austin, Model Y, Cybertruck, and the Semi? Do you expect the ramp of Cybertruck to be as difficult as it is a new process?
I think Cybertruck ramp will be difficult because it's such a new architecture. I mean, it's going to be a great product. It might be our best product ever, but it does a lot of fundamentally new design ideas in Cybertruck. Nobody's ever really made a car like this before, a vehicle like this before. So there'll probably be challenges because there's so much unexplored territory. Yeah.
Thank you. I think question 2 and question 3 we can skip, given we have already addressed it. I'll go to question 4. In 5 years' time, how much faster, better could you be at manufacturing capacity expansion using cut and paste And what are the biggest issues you need to solve to get to that rate?
Well, like I said, I think we might be the fastest growing company in history for any large manufactured item. So those who have not actually been involved in a manufacturing ramp have just no idea how painful and difficult it is. It's like, you know, you got to eat a lot of glass, and for our manufacturing ramp, it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, if you look at the expansion we've done in Shanghai, you know, that factory was built in less than a year and ramped in about 5 to 6 months to full volume. When you consider
longer than that, about a year.
And when you consider cut and paste, we've repeated that, you know, in Fremont and whatever. But now with Berlin and Austin, we have new factories and new designs, and so there's always challenges, as you said, Elon, with new designs and ramping that. But I think having teams in 3 locations or 3 continents will definitely expand our ability and our capacity to, you know, grow more lines rather than just having the one factory in Fremont that we had, you know, a year.
Yeah. So I mean, for Shanghai, it was incredible in both the factory in 11 months, but it took longer than building the factory. It took longer than that to actually reach volume production, high volume production. So it took about a year. When you put a factory in a new geography, in order for that factory to be efficient, you have to localize the supply chain. So there's no such thing as cut and paste. It does not exist. And that, you know, obviously be insane to do vehicle production in Europe but send vast numbers of parts from North America. That would make the producing in Europe, for example, just crazy. You've got to localize the supply chain to have efficiency, and then you're moving as fast as your least lucky, least good supplier. Yeah, and some of these supply chains where you go like, you know, 3 or 4 layers deep. It's frankly, I feel at times that we are inheriting all force majeure of Earth. So if anything goes wrong anywhere on Earth, something happens to mess up the supply chain. So yeah, yeah.
I think the human capital growth, though, of having factory here, Berlin, Shanghai, Fremont, does allow us to maybe not exponentially grow, but well, hopefully
we are exponentially growing.
Yeah, hopefully maintain that exponential.
Yeah. So yeah, it takes a while to hire all the people and train all the people to operate the factory. The factory is like a giant cybernetic collective, and you can't just hire 10,000 people and have it work instantly. It's not possible. I really encourage more people to get involved in manufacturing. I think, especially in the U.S., like this has just not been an area where, you know, all that many smart people have gone into. I think the U.S. has overallocation of talent in finance and law, both a criticism and a compliment. I'm not saying we shouldn't have people in finance and law. I'm just saying maybe we have too many smart people in those arenas. Maybe.
Manufacturing's fun.
Yeah, manufacturing is great. It's a very interesting problem to solve, and obviously you can't have stuff unless someone makes it. That's how you get stuff. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And let's go to the last investor question. Does Tesla plan to offer more services beyond FSD or high-speed connectivity as part of its subscription bundle going forward? What areas in particular present an opportunity?
Yeah, we don't have a lot of ideas on this, to be frank. Really, full self-driving is the main thing. Things are obviously headed towards, fully autonomous electric vehicle future. And I think Tesla's is well positioned and frankly is the leader objectively in both of those arenas, electrification and autonomy. It's always tempting to try to find analogies, but with other companies or whatever. But really, the value of a fully electric autonomous fleet is insanely gigantic. Boggles the mind, really. So that will be one of the most valuable things that is ever done in the history of civilization.
Thank you very much. And now let's go back to analyst Q&A, please.
Thank you. As a reminder, to ask a question, you will need to press *1 on your telephone. To withdraw your question, press the # key. In the interest of time, we ask that you please limit yourself to one question and one follow-up. Our first question comes from Colin Rusch with Oppenheimer. Your line is open.
Thanks so much, guys. Can you speak to the attach rates for FSD so far and where you're targeting in terms of the subscription levels?
Yeah, it's not worth commenting on right now. It's not meaningful. We really need full self-driving, at least the beta, to be widely available, so anyone who wants it can get it. Otherwise, it would be pointless to read anything into where things are right now.
Okay, and then just the follow-up there is about the cadence of the regulatory environment, keeping up with the technology. Are you seeing meaningful evolution in terms of the regulators really understanding the technology and beginning to set some standards here sometime in the near term?
At least in the U.S., we don't see regulation as a fundamental limiter. We've obviously got to make it work and then demonstrate that the reliability is significantly in excess of the average human driver, for it to be allowed, for people to be able to use it without paying attention to the road. But I think we have a massive fleet, so it will be, I think, straightforward to make the argument on statistical grounds, just based on the number of interventions, or especially interventions that would result in a crash at scale. We think we'll have billions of miles of travel to be able to show that it is, the safety of the car with the autopilot on is 100% or 200% or more safer than the average human driver. At that point, I think it would be unconscionable not to allow the autopilot, because the car just becomes way less safe. It would be sort of like, take the elevator analogy. Back in the day, you used to have elevator operators with like a big sort of switch that operate the elevator and move between floors. But that get tired or maybe drunk or something, or distracted, and every now and again, somebody would be kind of sheared in half between floors. That's kind of the situation we have with cars. Autonomy will become so safe that it will be unsafe to manually operate the car, relatively speaking. Today, obviously, we just get in an elevator, we press the button for which floor we want, and it just takes us there safely. And it would be quite alarming if elevators were operated by a person with a giant switch. That's how it would be with cars.
Thank you. Let's go to the next question, please.
Next question comes from Rod Lache with Wolfe Research. Your line is open.
Hi, everybody. Your cost of goods sold per vehicle is already down to the mid $37,000 range in the quarter. It's down $5,000 year over year, despite some of the inefficiencies that you talked about. And I know that a lot is going to change from here, just given how mix is going to evolve. But if you're successful on the structural pack and front and rear castings and the launch of the 4680 cell, can you just maybe give us a sense of what a successful outcome would look like maybe a year from now? Obviously, a lot has to go right, but just any kind of broad framework for us to think about.
Yeah, it's really difficult for us to make specific predictions. It's very difficult. I think we feel confident of say at least at 50% growth year over year next year, and maybe it's 100%, but that's you need a lot of crystal balls to figure out exactly what it's going to be, and it is literally impossible to make a specific prediction. But at least 50, maybe 100, something like that.
Okay. And maybe just separately from this, can you just verify what the status is of some of the advances in battery manufacturing, things like dry cathode mixing that you talked about on Battery Day? What's the timeline? How are those evolving?
Yeah, we commented on it today already, actually. But in the facility at Cato, over 90% of the processes have demonstrated rate there, but we are limited by the unlucky few that have not, and that's what we're working on. One of them that Elon mentioned was running the full-scale cathode calendar. We're working through some improvements that we need to make to that equipment and to the actual raw material itself to not have those limitations. But again, it's an engineering problem. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. On the mixing side, we haven't actually really had any challenges specific to your question. And fundamentally, we're still happy with the dry process direction in terms of the factory footprint, complexity, utility consumption, space, and overall complexity simplification.
Yeah.
And and the cost associated with everything that I just mentioned.
Yeah. And we don't overemphasize dry cathode. I mean, it is a, I don't know, maybe it's like 10 or 15% of the cost improvement or something like that. I don't know, 20% maybe over wet. Oh,
yeah, 10, closer to 10.
Yeah. So it's like just like people don't think like this is like the Messiah or something. Wet versus dry reduces. Dry is like 10% less cost than wet. So it's not, not 10%. Still nothing to sneeze at, especially if you're making hundreds of gigawatt hours a year. But it's not the Messiah, basically.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We can go to the next question, please.
Next question comes from Pierre Ferragu with New Street Research. Your line is open.
Hey, thanks. Thanks very much for taking my question. I have another question actually on batteries, but on a slightly different angle. I was wondering how you're looking at your sourcing strategy for the 4680. You've talked a lot about all the work you're doing to develop your in-house production. But what about asking other battery manufacturers to do 4680 cells with their own technology, maybe less innovation than what you guys are lining up internally? And I was wondering if the first 4680 cell that we'll see on the road will.
Yeah, we are in fact working with our existing suppliers to produce 4680 format cells. This is just a guess right now, but I see us sort of like consolidating around a 4680 nickel-based structural pack and for long-range vehicles, and then not necessarily a 4680 format, but some other format for iron-based cells. And so we right now we kind of have the Baskin-Robbins of batteries situation, where we have so many formats and so many chemistries that it's like we've got like 36 flavors of battery at this point. You know, this results in an engineering drag coefficient, where each variant of cell chemistry and format requires a certain amount of engineering to maintain it and troubleshoot, and this inhibits our forward progress. So it is going to be important to consolidate to just maybe ideally 2 form factors, maybe 3, but ideally 2, and then just you know, one nickel chemistry and one iron chemistry, and so we don't have to troubleshoot so many different variants.
Yeah, and towards that end, we are engaging with the suppliers that we've had good partnerships with on 4680 designs to enable that simplification, and you know, so far so good. You know, they're working on, they're bringing their core competencies to bear on that. We're not mandating like what's going on inside, but it's been a good collaboration.
Yeah. And we do expect to see, you know, significant increases in supply from our existing suppliers, in addition to the cells that Tesla is making. So it's both. You know, sometimes I get questions from our cell suppliers of like, are we just gonna make all the cells ourselves? And then we're like, no, please make as many as you possibly can, and to get it, then we can massively ramp up Powerwall production. You know, I think we have a chance of hitting an annualized rate of, you know, 1 million units of Powerwall next year, maybe, sort of on the order of 20,000 a week. But again, dependent on cell supply and semiconductors. But in terms of demand, I think there's probably demand for in excess of 1 million Powerwalls per year, and actually just a vast amount of megapacks for utilities. As the world transitions to a sustainable energy production, solar and wind are intermittent, and by their nature really need battery packs in order to provide a steady flow of electricity. And when you look at, you know, all of the utilities in the world, this is a vast amount of batteries that are needed. That's why, you know, long term, we really think, you know, sort of combined Tesla and suppliers need to produce at least 1,000 gigawatt hours a year, and maybe 2,000 gigawatt hours a year.
Okay, great, thank you. And I have a quick question. I know, Elon, you don't think it's meaningful today, but I'd be curious to know, you know, if you have any stats about when you announced a new pricing on a FSD moving from 10 grand up front to 199 without the lock-in. I'd be curious to understand, you know, how it affected behavior, and if you saw like a massive uptake in the service. And I'm not thinking about people looking at it as an FSD, but more, you know, to try the most advanced version of autopilot and to try it. So in the first days you've announced the pricing, have you seen like a very significant spike in the take rate, and can you give us a sense of how big it was?
Okay, so you're asking like, is the FSD take rate too expensive, and that's why we're doing subscription? Or I'm not sure if I understand your question correctly.
No, my question is from the time you announced like the subscription at the $199 per month, how much did like the take rate increase? Like the percentage of people who basically took the subscription as they bought a new car versus how it was when they had to pay 10 grand up front?
Yeah, this is Zach here. I mean, I think we're still early in understanding how FSD subscription will unfold, but a couple of data points here. So we took a look at our backlog to see, of customers in our backlog who have ordered FSD, did they cancel, presumably to go to subscription after they take delivery? And the level of cancellations there was not seeing cannibalization there. It's possible that that changes, but that was also part of our pricing strategy at $99 and $199.
Yeah, I mean,
also part of our pricing strategy at $99 and $199.
Yeah, I mean, it's like any given price is going to be wrong, so we'll just adjust it over time as we see, the value proposition makes sense to people. So we're just really, I'm not thinking about this a lot right now. We need to make full self-driving work in order for it to be a compelling value proposition. Otherwise, people are, kind of betting on the future. I mean, right now, does it make sense for somebody to do an FSD subscription? I think it's debatable. But once we have full self-driving widely deployed, then the value proposition will be clear. And at that point, I think basically everyone will use it. Or it'd be a rare individual who doesn't.
Okay, thank you very much for your help, and I think that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for all your questions, and we'll speak to you again in 3 months' time. Have a good day, everyone.
All right.
This concludes today's conference call.
I was laughing there at the end because he said, Elon said, is FSD subscription worth it today? Debatable. I laughed at that. You bet your bottom dollar mainstream media is going to run with this whole Elon is running away narrative. It's going to happen. Unfortunately, you're going to have to cling on to that. I will say Steve Jobs stopped coming on earnings calls in 2010. Tim Cook ran everything. He became a CEO of Apple a year later. Obviously, Steve Jobs might be a little bit different of a comparison just because he had health issues. Elon has so much stuff in the burner, right? In the back burner that's going on. So it's going to be tough. They're going to run with this media narrative. Now, the opposite side of this is, believe it or not, there's a lot of investors, sophisticated investors, that will not invest in Tesla because of Elon. I find it crazy, but because of Elon. They think he's too sporadic. He can tweet something, blah, 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 blah. He's too honest. Who knows? So I'm not sure who's the second up there. I mean, I saw a comment saying Zachary Kirkhorn. I don't know. I saw Drew Baglino as a suggestion here in the comments, perhaps. Now, I don't know. Drew Baglino is SVP of battery, right? Let me just see what he is. Baglino. He's the SVP of powertrain and energy. Okay. So perhaps I think what the Wall Street answer here is get someone who talks business, who's like Tim Cook, right? Get someone that's corporate, someone that Gary Black would like, right? Now, I don't know if they have someone there, but man, we can talk about that tomorrow in a video. I didn't expect any sort of split announcement. If that theory comes through, it's probably going to be on Wednesday. We'll see. Who knows? Man, it was a long call. It was, the most informing thing to me, I guess, was probably the fact that 4680 battery cells are close, almost there. They're going to require a little bit more work to volume production, which I think we knew. Model Y's first, Cybertruck follows Model Y production Tesla in Giga Austin, I should say. 2170 structural battery packs are potentially a good backup plan should 4680s take too long in Austin. So, a lot there to digest. Guys, it's hard to say that at the end of the day, Tesla's not profitable anymore. Today is an historic quarter. Amazing revenue, amazing margin, good growth. It's all about execution. That's the biggest thing that I've been saying. I get a lot of Tesla bears coming in on the chat, and they say, what would it take for you to not be a Tesla bull? And the biggest risk to Tesla is execution. It's execution. Can they actually execute on their plans? And it goes to show with an earnings report like right now, they are executing well. So that is it. We will see where this goes. Shout out to every one of you guys that have been tuning in to the end here. Much love to you. It's we've been going on for 3 hours and 45 minutes. 3 hours and 45 minutes. I've been preparing for 4 hours and 45 minutes. Hit the like on your way out if you can. I would appreciate something as little as that. Hit the subscribe on your way out as well if you want to. And join us on Patreon. Get 2 free stocks on Webull if you'd like. Link is in the description. You get 2 free stocks. You can let me know which ones you end up getting. It's an affiliate link, obviously, if you want to support the channel. Again, price action wise, this is Tesla, folks. This is Tesla up a little bit after hours. Tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised to see us sell off on the news. Go red, maybe end up green again for the day. We shall see. Let's see if we live stream again tomorrow. We'll see if I have any voice left in me. Live streaming does take a lot out of me, but I'm having a blast. I had a blast. Thank you, everyone. I see your comments coming in. Much love to you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, dinner, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world. Much love, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Take care, guys. Thank you.